The night is quiet now. The busyness of the day has passed, and what remains is this gentle space between wakefulness and rest. It's here, in the calm of evening, that God invites you to let go, to take every worry that's been pressing on your mind and place it into His hands. You don't have to hold it anymore. You've carried it long enough. The scriptures say, "Cast all your cares upon Him, for He cares for you." Those words are simple, but they are life-giving. They are not a command of burden. They are an invitation to freedom. God isn't asking you to be stronger. He's asking you to trust that His strength is enough. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight you've been carrying, the worries that circle in your thoughts, the things you wish you could change, the unknowns that make your chest tighten. Each one of those is like a stone in your hands. One by one, imagine setting them down. The stone of fear, the stone of regret, the stone of control. Lay them all at the feet of Jesus. As you do, feel how light your hands become. Feel how free your heart feels. You were never meant to carry it all. You were meant to cast it, to release it into the care of a God who never lets go. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out slowly. With each exhale, imagine your burdens falling away like leaves carried by the wind. God is here, near to you, waiting patiently to take every care that weighs you down. You can talk to Him quietly now. Lord, I give you my worries. I give you my fears. I give you my tomorrow. You don't have to pray fancy words. Just speak from the heart. He listens. He understands. He knows what you can't say out loud. In this stillness, His love surrounds you like calm water around a drifting boat. There's no storm that can shake this peace. God's presence is your safe harbor. He's not distant. He's not too busy. He's right here, holding the space between your thoughts, whispering, "You're safe. I've got you." Let that truth sink in. Let it quiet the noise in your mind. You don't have to keep fighting to stay afloat. You can rest in His arms. His love is steady. His promises sure. Even when tomorrow feels uncertain, His faithfulness never changes. You can trust Him with what's coming. You can trust Him with what's gone. And you can rest right now in the knowing that He cares deeply for you, not in a distant, abstract way, but personally, tenderly, completely. So let go. Let the weight slide off your shoulders. Let peace take its place. The night sky stretches above you, vast and calm. Each star a reminder of His unchanging care. The same God who holds the stars in place holds you, too. You are safe in His keeping. You can rest now. Take one last deep breath and release it all into His hands. He will not let it fall. And as you rest in His peace tonight, may your heart remember this truth: you were never meant to carry it alone. God cares for you more than you can imagine, more than words can say. So rest in His care and sleep in His love. And if these quiet moments have brought peace to your heart, take a moment to share that peace subscribe, leave a kind word, or share this space with someone who might need a reminder that God is still near. Together, we can build a place where weary souls find rest. One prayerful breath at a time. May you sleep in His presence tonight. Unburdened and free, I come to you in a soft voice tonight. I sit with a lamp dimmed and a Bible open. My breathing finds a steady rhythm. My hands rest on the pages. My heart leans toward calm. I invite your heart to find that same steady rhythm with me. Make yourself comfortable. Settle into a chair or lie down where your body can relax. Allow the weight of the day to ease from your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Let the tongue rest. Allow the eyelids to grow heavy if they want to. Breathe slowly. Inhale gently. Exhale fully. With each breath, feel a little more of the day fall away. This is not a time for lists or tasks. This is not a time to plan or to fix. Tonight is for receiving. Tonight is for listening. I will read with care. I will read plain words designed to heal. Imagine a quiet room. The light is soft and warm. A window shows the last light of evening. The air is cool and kind. Somewhere, a small clock ticks, steady and sure. A sense of safety holds the room. I want you to know that the same kindness travels with the words I speak. They have room to land in your heart. Think of this moment as an offering. You are not required to respond. You are not required to understand everything. You are invited simply to receive. The tone tonight is gentle. The pace is slow. Space will follow each line, giving room for the words to sink in. Let the silences do their work. Let the echoes speak to what your soul needs. If your mind wanders, that is all right. Like a tired traveler, it may drift to other places. Gently bring it back to the breath. Notice, without judgment, the thoughts that come, then let them pass. Like clouds moving over a wide sky, there is no hurry to catch or correct them. Continued presence is enough. I speak of mercy, not because I know all the answers, but because I have known the quiet relief that comes when mercy finds a heart. I tell you about hope, not as a distant idea, but as a companion that walks toward you step by step. I speak of Christ's kindness as one who rests in it and seeks to share it. The words I read will aim to cradle your spirit and to remind you of a safe place to lay your burdens. Tonight, do not look for arguments. Do not look for complicated teaching. Hear gentle reminders. Feel simple truths. Mercy meets us where we are. Hope rises even in small places. Healing often begins as a single breath, held in the presence of love. Let that breath be yours now. I will pause between readings. Each pause will be long enough for you to breathe and to allow a thought to settle. If you want to follow with your own prayer, do so in your heart. If you prefer silence, hold the silence close. If a tear comes, let it fall. There is room for all of it. I will not press you to repeat words. I will not ask for answers. Listening is the response I hope for. Listening opens the door to rest. Listening tends the fragile places of the spirit. Listening is enough. Picture a path beneath your feet. It is soft, not rushed. It leads through a quiet garden. At the path's end, a gentle light waits. That light does not glare. It does not demand. It simply welcomes. Imagine stepping forward a little. Feel the coolness of the earth. Hear faint water somewhere nearby. The path invites no performance, only presence. Allow yourself to be held by a presence that knows your name and your needs, even before you speak them. Allow the weight you have carried through the day to loosen with each breath. Trust that something steady watches over the night. Trust that this steady presence is not distant. It sits at the edge of the room and leans in, patient and kind. As I read, keep a hand near your heart, if that comforts you. Let the hand remind you that you are loved. Let it remind you that you are not alone. Sometimes, a simple touch is the language of consolation. Sometimes it is the only prayer that needs to be offered. Let it be so. If pain is part of your night, bring that pain into the quiet in small pieces. Don't try to carry it all at once. A small offering in the quiet can be enough for now. Let the words I share be like a soft cloth on a wound. They do not replace medicine or care, but they soothe. They remind the sore places that someone cares. Do not worry about the shape of the words. They are not tests. They are maps. Their purpose is to guide, not to judge. Follow them at a pace that fits your breath. Pause as you need. Return when you are ready. The rhythm of this reading is like the ocean. There is an ebb and a flow. Let the flow wash over and the ebb take up the day's debris, leaving a shore that is quieter. Listen for the small assurances that come like birdsong at dawn. Mercy is offered. Forgiveness is present. Hope quietly gathers strength. These are not slogans. These are steady truths that sustain the fragile heart. They will not all be understood right away. They will reveal themselves in time, like seeds that quietly germinate in the dark. If a memory rises that brings pain, do not be afraid to breathe into it. Let the breathing be slow and kind. Name the feeling in your mind: lonely, tired, afraid, and then let it pass through the breath. Feel the grounding of being alive in a safe room. Feel the support of unseen hands in which the heart can rest. I will speak of rest as a gift. It does not depend on perfection. It is not earned. It comes freely. You are allowed to receive it. You are allowed to stop striving for a while. The world will keep its rhythms. For this hour, choose the rest that meets your need. Before we read, take one more long breath together. Allow it to fill the chest fully. Hold it for a heartbeat. Let it go slowly and completely. Notice the quiet that follows. Hear the soft space between breaths. That space is sacred. It is the place where healing pauses and invites you in. As I begin the reading to follow, I will speak with softness and with steady intent. I will not rush. The words will unfold slowly. I will give time for each phrase to find its place in the heart. There will be gentle reminders of love, mercy, and hope. There will be images that calm and narratives that invite rest. If you feel tired before the end, allow sleep to come. The reading will continue for those who rest and for those who remain awake. Either way, the presence is with you. Either way, the words have been offered. Either way, there is a blessing that moves quietly behind them. I trust in the quiet power of these moments. I trust that the simple act of listening can shift the shape of the night. I trust that mercy is real and reaches into small corners. I trust that hope can take root even when the soil feels thin. Now, make another gentle breath. Settle deeper into the stillness. Let the muscles relax a little more. Let the mind soften. Prepare the heart to receive what comes. The next part of our time will be a reading meant to soothe and to steady. I will move through it slowly. The silence between lines will be part of the message. As the reading starts, remember that you are welcome just as you are. No masks, no needing to be more than you are in this hour. Let the words be like a warm blanket across the shoulders. Let them be a steady lamp at the bedside. Let them be a friend who stays when the lights go low. I begin now, and I will speak in slow, clear phrases. Listen with the ears of your heart. Breathe with each sentence. Let the healing come gently, as a tide that touches the shore and recedes with peace. I am about to explore together. If this brings peace to you, kindly share this moment with others. There are nights when being lost feels like a fog. It muffles sounds. It cools the skin. It narrows the view to only what presses close. I know this. I have walked nights like that. I sit beside this feeling now. Not to push it away, but to name it. Naming lets it breathe. Naming takes some of its power. Sometimes the map in the mind has gaps. The next step seems unclear. The old certainties feel distant. A gentle panic can rise like wind. It does not have to be large to be real. Small panics matter. Small confusions carve into the chest. They make the night longer. They make the pillow heavy. When lostness comes, it is often quiet at first. It settles in small ways. Attention slips from the present. The rhythm of daily tasks continues. But the heart walks elsewhere. A memory appears. A worry repeats. The hands do their work, while the spirit wanders. We mistake motion for progress. We confuse busyness with direction. I invite a soft observation of this space. Do not try to correct the feeling yet. Sit with it, like a neighbor who has arrived unexpectedly. Offer a cup of patience. Breathe slowly. Let the breath be a simple tool. Inhale. Hold for a gentle count. Exhale. Each cycle grounds the body a little more firmly in the room. The lamp glows. The Bible lies open. The night listens. A small question can be kind. What is missing tonight? Not in a frantic way. Not in a hurry to solve. Just a quiet asking. Naming one thing can be enough. A single need, brought into the light, becomes smaller. It stops being an enormous fog and begins to look like a specific patch of ground. That patch can be tended. Lostness often brings shame with it. Shame whispers that being off course is a failure. It suggests that rest is not deserved. Watch that whisper. Give it no work tonight. Mercy has a louder voice. Mercy speaks in soft sentences. Mercy says rest is a gift, not a reward for perfection. I have found that a small ritual helps. Place a hand over the heart. Feel the steady beat. Let it be a reminder that life continues even when direction does not. If hands are tired, lay them palms down on the blanket. Let the strength of the floor or the bed meet them. Let the body feel supported. The world does not demand answers right now. The Bible has sat with people who are lost for ages. It contains stories of wandering and finding. It holds psalms that breathe out pain and return to praise. It holds promises that do not erase struggle, but that walk with the struggling heart. I read from that book in a simple way tonight. I do not offer lectures. I offer a lamp. I read aloud passages that have soothed me. The tone is slow. The words are allowed to land. Each line is a quiet footstep on a dark path. If a thought says that being lost means being alone, set it down for a moment. Presence does not require answering everything. Presence often means sitting with someone in silence. Imagine the figure of Christ not as a distant judge, but as a companion who walks close. He knows the contours of night. He has walked through confusion and returned with calm. Consider that presence like a warm hand at the small of the back. It guides gently. It does not pull roughly. When the mind insists on tracing back to mistakes, l'état différent exercice begin. Picture a small room inside the chest. The room is tidy. There is a narrow window. Through that window enters a thin shaft of light. The light is not harsh. It is kind. Invite one memory in. Let it sit in that light. Observe it without explanation. Notice the color, the texture, the sound that it brings. Do not try to fix the memory. Let the light change how it feels. Prayer, when it is quiet, can be as simple as a breath with a name, a whispered phrase in the mind, a turning of the heart toward what steadies. It need not be perfect. It need not be long. A single sentence held in silence can be enough. If words do not form, let the breath stand in for prayer. Let each exhale be a release. Let each inhale be a receipt of calm. Sometimes, being lost has practical roots. Tiredness, umednits, a small wound that has not been acknowledged. Consider tending the body first. Drink a little water. Adjust the pillow. Ease tight shoulders. Move the jaw. These small acts are not trivial. The body and the spirit are linked. Caring for the body gives the mind permission to rest. Other times, the being lost is more like a map unrolled to reveal blank places. The edge of the map frays. Paths disappear. In those moments, creativity can be a gentle lantern, not a demand to create solutions, but a chance to imagine what a small, safe step might be. A step that does not require commitment to the entire journey. A step that only asks to be taken for a few breaths. I will continue to read passages now. The pace is slow. I pause between lines. In those pauses, allow the words to settle. Let the silence carry their meaning deeper than the sound alone. If sleep comes, let it come. If alertness stays, follow the rhythm of the sentences. The Bible's phrases are like soft paths. They do not force direction. They offer companionship and light. Be careful with comparisons. Comparing a present night to someone else's steady light steals peace. Each journey holds its own seasons. Some seasons are clear, some are clouded. The clouded seasons are not permanent. They are part of a larger story. Trust that seasons change. Trust that mercy accompanies the change. When the feeling of being lost shifts to anxiety about future steps, bring attention back to the present breath. The future can wait a little while. The tasks can be smaller. Pick one small, safe action that feels doable in the next hour or two. Let this small action be enough. Do not rush to fix the whole map at once. Repair often happens in tiny stitches, not grand gestures. There is a kindness in confession, but not in the sense of an interrogation. Confession can be a quiet naming of difficulty. It is releasing the weight by telling it to a faithful presence. If a name for the struggle comes, offer it quietly in thought. Let the act of naming be a release. The Bible offers language for such moments. When read slowly, those words become a mirror. They show not only the fault lines, but also the steady ground beneath. If rest feels impossible, consider a shorter practice. Close the eyes for one complete breath cycle. Place attention on the soles of the feet. Imagine roots that reach just a little into the earth. They do not have to go deep, just enough to feel steadiness. Return to breath. Repeat 3 times. Each repetition is a small rescue. Hope in Christ is not a promise that confusion will vanish overnight. It is a promise of company. It is a promise that mercy meets every step. It is a promise that rest is available even in wandering. Let that hope be a soft cushion for the heart. It does not need to be analyzed. It only needs to be received. I speak now as one who sits in the dim light and reads aloud. The voice is measured. The reading is a bridge. It brings words into the room that have been a refuge for many. Hear them as such. Let them touch the places that ache. Let them be a balm for a restless mind. If this shared quiet is helpful, consider sharing it later with someone who needs to hear that being lost is part of the journey. An offer of companionship need not be more than a gentle invitation to breathe together. The gift of presence is often the most healing. For now, rest your hands. Let the Bible lie open if that comforts. Let the lamp remain. Let the breath lengthen. The next part of the reading will continue to hold the lostness without judgment. It will give room for small mercies to arrive. I will read slowly. I will pause. The intention is to accompany, not to push. Prepare to receive the next lines as if they were a hand extended across the night. Take them if they help. Leave them if they do not. Either response is acceptable. The night is held. Mercy is present. Hope waits patiently. I fold the promise of guidance into the room like an extra blanket. The Bible rests open. The page breathes. The psalm offers a soft assurance, a guiding hand, gentle instruction for the next step, a listening voice that stays close. I do not unpack every meaning. I let the promise sit as a simple fact. It means there is help for the way. It means someone steady walks beside the wandering. The lamp leans its light across the page. The light is thin and warm. I let it fall on the words, and then on the space between them. Guidance is not always a map. Often it is a light on one footstep. Sometimes it is a small pause that keeps the heart from rushing. I read with that in mind. Each phrase comes slowly. Each pause gives room for the breath to answer. Now the comfort of presence. I will tell a small memory. It is not a sermon. It is a tiny scene that has softened my nights. The scene is simple. It keeps company with small things. A few years back, there is a night I remember like a tender bruise. Rain comes steady and patient. The road becomes a ribbon of reflected lamps. The car hums. The journey has tired the hands. A phone signal disappears, and the map stumbles. The horizon feels distant. The chest tightens with the old, polite panic. I pull to the side and park beneath a tree. The wipers slow. The engine ticks down. The Bible sits on the passenger seat. It has been there for weeks. Now, in that quiet between rain and tires, a single verse slides into my mind as if it has been waiting. It is not a loud instruction. It is a small promise that says someone will counsel, that the next step will come into view. The promise is not an instant fix. It is a presence that lets the body stop trying so hard. I close the car door. The rain makes a soft ceiling overhead. The scent of wet leaves comes in through the half-open window. I place both hands on the steering wheel and feel the pulse under the skin. The pulse is a small drummer. It keeps time no matter how lost the road feels. I breathe. The breath is a steady, slow tide. The worry does not vanish. The grip on the wheel eases. A sense of being accompanied grows like a warmth behind the ribs. It is not a crowd. It is not a voice that fills the night. It is a closeness, like a blanket, tucked at the ankles. It does not solve the route. It quiets the trembling. The presence asks nothing. It only stays. I fold my attention around that staying. I let the fear rest on a surface that can take it. That night, I do not set out on a new plan. I do not force a decision. I wait until the rain loosens and the map refreshes. The waiting is gentler than expected. The thought of being guided becomes enough to steady the hands. A direction appears when the world is ready to show it. The path is not dramatic. It is a narrow, firm line along the road. I drive on with a slower heart. This is the kind of comfort I hope to carry into your room tonight. Comfort that does not press you to act before you are ready. Comfort that sits with heavy things without needing to fix them all at once. Comfort that knows how to hold a small fear until courage grows in the quiet. To receive that comfort, begin with the body. Place a hand over the heart. Feel the warmth there. Let one soft breath move from the belly to the chest. Exhale without force. Repeat gently. The breath becomes a small anchor. It is a physical way to accept the presence that waits. Bring one simple image to the mind. It can be the glow of a distant lamp. It can be a hand resting at the small of your back. It can be the feeling of a blanket pulled up to the chin. Hold that image as if it is true in the moment. The mind may object. Let it object, and then let the image return. It needs only admittance, not proof. If naming helps, choose one word quietly. mercy, shelter, presence, hope. Whisper it inside, but without urgency. Let the word rest at the center of the breath. Each inhalation gathers the word. Each exhalation releases whatever resists it. The word will not do the work for you. It will simply open a door. Stories in the Bible are not meant to make the night tidy. They are meant to be companions. I read them because they have been companions to many who needed a steadying presence. Psalm words that promise guidance do not claim to remove every shadow. They promise a way through the shadow, not an avoidance of night. That difference matters. It keeps rest honest. It keeps hope possible. So I read aloud. The voice is low. The rhythm is unhurried. I let the sentences fall like soft steps on a wooden floor. Between each line, I pause long enough for the heart to answer. The silence is part of the reading. It is where the presence moves. If a listener drifts into sleep, that is welcome. If eyes stay open, the words will continue to hold the room. If grief is here tonight, treat it kindly. Grief is not a failure. It is an expression of love and loss. Place it on the knee of the quiet. Do not rush it. The presence that sits with you does not demand quick repair. It wears patience like a cloak. Let grief be tended in small measures. A single breath can be a whole prayer. If shame slips in, it may try to reframe the presence as a judge. Gently refuse that smaller voice. The presence in question is steadier. It speaks in soft sentences. It reminds without accusation. Imagine the presence as a steady lamp rather than a flashing alarm. The lamp shows the step without condemning the stumble. There are practical things to do when unease grows heavy. Adjust the pillow. Loosen the collar. Sip a little water. These small acts are not trivial remedies. They signal permission to the body to rest. The spirit follows that permission easily. Good care for the body is often the first language of calm. Consider a brief lead practice. Close the eyes. Count the breath in 4 soft counts. Hold for a count of 2. Exhale slowly on 4 counts. Repeat 3 times. Each cycle erases a little of the sharpness. It lets the quiet come closer. The practice is small and gentle. It needs only a willingness to try. I promise nothing miraculous. The night is still night. The pain may yet prick, yet a steady companion exists. That companion offers instruction in small steps. It offers counsel in a hush. It offers presence that does not leave when sleep comes. Keep that promise like a small stone in the pocket. Reach for it when the path narrows. As I continue to read, imagine the presence as a soft hand guiding a small child across a dark room. The hand does not carry the child. It does not rush. It only steadies. The child's steps are slow and sure. The room becomes less imposing. The light is simple and close. I will now read a few lines that speak of guidance. And staying near, the tone is slow. The pauses will be long. Let the words move through and settle. If rest comes, let it. If wakefulness remains, breathe with me. Either state is welcomed and held. This part ends with that holding. There is an intention to bring calm and steadiness. The next moments will continue to speak of mercy and of the way grace enters small corners. Stay where you are. Breathe. Let the presence that promises guidance become a warm, steady thing in the room. The lamp still glows. The Bible lies open. The night listens. I speak in a steady voice. The lamp throws a soft circle of light. The Bible rests open between us. My hand moves over the page as if tracing a familiar path. Tonight I read about mercy. And now I turn to forgiveness. Forgiveness is quiet work. It does not force itself like a storm. It eases in like morning light. I do not mean forgetting. I mean letting the sharpness dull. I mean choosing a way to rest even though the memory stays. I begin by naming why forgiveness can feel hard. Wounds are real. Loss lingers. A small betrayal can echo for years. The heart remembers. The body keeps record. These are not trivial things. They deserve tenderness. Not quick fixes. When I read aloud, I do so slowly. I allow each sentence to land like a soft stone on still water. The ripples are welcome. They show movement. They show that change is gentle and gradual. Imagine a shelf of small boxes. Each box holds a memory that stings. I open one box at a time. I do not do them all at once. The light is thin. The boxes sit on a warm cloth. One by one, I take a breath, lift a lid, and name the feeling. Naming does not heal everything, but it gives room for the hurt to breathe. Forgiveness often begins not with words, but with a small act of letting go. I coach a simple exercise. Close the eyes. Place a palm over the heart. Feel the steady beat. Picture the tight place inside as a small stone held in the palm. Breathe in slowly. As I exhale, imagine your fingers loosening around that stone. It slides into the water. Watch the surface quiet. The stone sinks. The current takes it. You do not forget the stone. You simply release the weight. This image does not demand that reconciliation occur. It only asks for release of burden. Release heals the holder first. Forgiveness is a hand extended primarily for the person who holds the hurt. When I read the Bible here, I choose passages that carry a quiet promise. The words speak of a kindness that receives the broken. They speak of a love that reaches into small faults and large ones. I do not teach doctrine in the night. I offer phrases that have sat like a soft blanket over my own shame. To forgive another is not to pretend the hurt did not happen. It is to refuse the demand that pain must have the last word. It is to refuse that every step forward must be a step with an anchor. In practical terms, it can be a small choice. A refusal to rehearse the offense. A decision to speak one less sharp sentence. A willingness to let the anger rest on a safer surface. Forgiving oneself feels like a different path. Guilt can be persistent. It can sound like a replay of mistakes. I have known nights when forgiveness toward myself was the hardest to fight. I sit with those nights and I breathe. I hold the memory as if it were fragile. I speak a simple truth into the silence that mistakes do not erase the possibility of kindness towards oneself. A short practice helps. Think of one small thing you regret. Do not try to fix everything. Name that one thing in the mind. Now imagine placing it into a vessel of light. The vessel is not judgmental. It simply holds and heals. Let the light soften the edges. Breathe with that softening for a few moments. Do not hurry. Repeat the breath until the sharpness dulls. Forgiveness of self often grows in this patient way. When the impulse to punish remains, I suggest another small action. Offer the hurt a watchful kindness. That looks like seeking a small repair that is within reach. Apologize when it is right. Make an amends that fits the situation. If repair is not possible, choose a different form of care. Volunteer time to a quiet cause. Sit with someone else who is hurting. These outward acts often realign the inward heart. I read aloud about forgiveness not to prompt guilt, but to loosen it. The sound of words can do what explanations cannot. They can enter the body and move something that thought alone cannot. When I pause between lines, the pause is for the heart to answer, not to figure everything out. There is also a kind of patience in forgiveness. Some wounds are slow to heal. Some people do not shift immediately. That does not mean forgiveness has failed. It means healing has its seasons. The body knows seasons well. The heart needs the same courtesy. When bitterness threatens to take root, I look for small ways to water another seed. Gratitude is simple and powerful. Think of one small mercy from the day. A warm cup, a kind note. The way the rain smelled on the pavement. Let that small gratitude sit beside the pain. It does not erase it, but it balances the ledger in the mind. A heart that keeps two truths harm, and mercy moves toward a more steady place. Forgiveness belongs to God in a particular way. Some nights, I read passages that remind me of that belonging. They do not complicate things. They offer an assurance that mistakes do not cancel worth. They offer an invitation to lay burdens down at a larger feet of care. I speak these paraphrases softly, so they can be received like a blanket rather than a law. I am careful to say that receiving forgiveness is not an instant switch. It is a process. The promise slides into the room. It sits quietly until a part of the heart takes hold. The offer of forgiveness is like a steady lamp left on the table. It does not demand to be noticed, but it is available for the eyes that seek light. I also remind that forgiveness does not always mean forgetting the lesson. The memory can become a teacher. The lesson is gentler than anger. It guides future steps. It can prevent repetition. Forgiveness allows the memory to shift from a weapon to a tutor, if the desire to forgive is present. But fear blocks action. Start tiny. Write the name in the air with a finger. Whisper a one-line thought of release. Let the breath carry it outward. These small rituals are not worthless. They are the scaffolding for a larger release. Some wounds require boundaries. Even as forgiveness grows, forgiveness can coexist with caution. Let the two live together. Forgiveness frees the inner life. Boundaries guard the outer steps. They are not opposites. They are companions that keep the heart whole. When anger flares in the night, I use the breath as a refuge. 5 slow inhales. 5 slow exhales. Each cycle tills the soil of the spirit. It makes room for gentler choices. In the quiet, alsof det resolve gros, it is easier to forgive when the body is calm. There are nights when forgiveness will feel impossible. I do not pretend otherwise. In those times, I read shorter passages. I stay beside the dark until it softens a little. The goal is not to rush the soul, but to be present in the hard part. Presence is itself a form of mercy. I sometimes ask the listener to visualize a riverbank. The hurt is a small bundle on that shore. The current flows steady and sure. Placing the bundle in the water does not mean it disappears. It travels. Its weight is carried. The watching is faithful. The watcher is not absent. The watcher is kind. Toward the close of the night, I offer a brief practice. Lie or sit with care. Place a hand over the heart. Take 3 long breaths. On the first breath, think of one person who caused pain. On the second, think of one small thing you can do to care for yourself tonight. On the third, imagine a soft light between you and the memory. Let that light be a space where forgiveness might settle when it is ready. I read these words calmly. I pause long enough for them to rest. The stillness after each phrase is part of the work. It is where the mind can soften and the body can accept a new stance. Forgiveness is not a race. It arrives like the tide. It comes in stages. Sometimes only a little water reaches the shore. Other times, the wave creeps higher. Each movement matters. Each small release is real. As I close this part of the reading, I lay my palm on the open Bible. The page holds words that have sheltered many nights. I tuck loose ends into a promise of continued mercy. The lamp remains low. The room keeps its calm. Rest now with the thought that forgiveness is offered and that it begins with small actions. Allow the breath to carry away some of the weight. Let sleep, if it comes, do its quiet work. If wakefulness remains, stay with the lamp. I will continue to read slowly when you are ready. The night holds you. Mercy moves gently. The heart may find rest. I sit with the lamp low. The Bible rests open on my lap. The pages breathe with quiet ink. Ton I turn toward grace. I mean the simple kind. The kind that asks nothing in return. The kind that arrives like rain on a hot afternoon. The kind that settles without fuss. Grace is a gentle word. It is not loud. It does not demand. It enters a room like soft light. It changes the view by changing the way light falls on things. Old marks look different. Heavy things look lighter. A small truth moves in something good has been given, not earned. I read that truth aloud tonight. My voice is slow. Each sentence comes like a step. The pauses are long. In the silence between lines, the word grace can sink in. It needs that room. It needs time to be received. Sometimes grace arrives through another person. A neighbor brings bread. A friend sends a note. A stranger speaks a kind word in a doorway. These are small things. They often come without ceremony. They make the heart soften. They make the world feel slightly more habitable. Once, on a night that felt too heavy to carry, a simple loaf sat at the door. No explanation. A scrap of bread. My hands took it as if taking a gift from a child. The gesture made no promises. It only said, "You are not invisible." I ate the bread slowly. The taste was ordinary. The effect was not. My chest loosened. The night did not vanish. It simply became easier to breathe. That is grace in small measure. It does not fix all. It lightens the hold on the moment. Grace also comes through the reading of Scripture. I read the pages because they have kept company with many nights. The words shape a space that holds kindly. They do not accuse, they invite. As I trace the lines with a finger, I let the sentences touch the places that are tired. I do not force an answer. I let the words do their quiet work. Imagine grace as a garment placed around the shoulders. The fabric is worn in the way. Mercy is worn soft at the edges. Forgiving of small tears. Putting the garment on does not erase the body beneath it. It simply allows the body to rest with warmth. Try this now. Slowly imagine a thin shawl drawn over your shoulders. Feel its weight. Feel its warmth. It speaks in a language of kindness. Let that feeling sit there for a few breaths. Grace changes how memory is held. A memory that once felt like a burning coal can become a warm stone. It still keeps its shape. It still carries heat, but the risk of burns lessens. The mind can hold the memory and not be broken by it. This is not magic. It is a small transformation in the heart's capacity to keep sorrow without being consumed. When I read about grace, I do so with care. I choose short phrases. I let them land. One simple image I use often is a bowl of water. Place a small cloth in the water. See the cloth accept the water without effort. The water does not demand the cloth stop being cloth. It only washes it gently. Grace is the water. The heart is the cloth. The washing does not erase memory. It removes the sharp edges of hurt. There is a mercy in receiving without performance. So often the instinct is to earn peace, to make something better to deserve rest. Grace refuses that calculus. It comes as a gift to the tired. It does not care for certificates or long lists of good deeds. It cares for the breath. It notices the small suffering and moves toward it. I sometimes practice a small ritual while I read. It takes only moments. Place the Bible on the table. Lay one hand flat on the cover. Let the other hand rest in your lap. Close the eyes. Breathe slowly. With each inhale, imagine a soft light entering through the chest. With each exhale, imagine that light settling into the shoulders. Let the hands feel that settling. The practice is brief. It is not an effort to earn grace, but a posture to receive it. Grace also invites a different posture toward failure. Mistakes do not become the identity. They become parts of the story. They are old maps I carry, not the whole terrain. In the quiet, I hold my own errors like papers in a drawer. I do not thrust them on the table for constant inspection. I tuck them in with care. The Bible's language about grace often reads like permission to fold the papers and set them aside for a while. Transformation by grace rarely comes in one sweep. It moves in slow ways. It changes the small habits first. A softened thought here, a kinder sentence in the mind there. Or team. These small shifts alter the rhythm of living. A heart that once braced against every disappointment may learn to tilt toward the light more easily. One evening I sat with a heavy decision and no good answer. The mind circled. Schleepveld impossible. The Bible lay open at a page that spoke of rest. in language that felt like permission. I did not suddenly know the solution. I only felt allowed to be ordinary. In that allowance, a new choice came into view. It was not large. It was an act of kindness toward myself, to stop the internal debate for one night and sleep. The choice did not solve everything. It changed the immediate shape of living. Grace had opened a small door. If the idea of grace feels distant, I offer a simple exercise for the night. Find a small object, a stone, agoin, a pressed leaf. Hold it in the hand. Name one small thing that you cannot change tonight. Place the name on the object in your mind. Then, set the object down on a low table or beside the pillow. Leave it there. The object is a symbol. The act of placing carries a message. This cannot be carried now. You are choosing rest. This small ceremony is not a performance. It is a choosing of tenderness toward what is already worn. Grace also moves through community. Sometimes the most plain way it arrives is a hand that stays. A neighbor spends an unremarkable hour. A friend sits with a cup. Together, the mere presence redefines meaning. The Bible is full of such scenes, ordinary people who stay. I read those stories tonight, not as models of perfection, but as invitations to ordinary mercy. There will be nights when grace seems slow to come. That is okay. The night has its own timing. The lamp will not always show the entire path. Sometimes it reveals only the next step. Wait, if waiting is needed. Hold on to the small lights you have. Let them guide a slow footfall. Grace does not rush. It steadies. As I read, I sometimes pause and simply breathe with the words. I do not analyze them. I let them be like oil on a hinge. They make the movement easier. They do not remove the hinge's history. They ease the creak. In that easing, the work of living becomes less harsh. One of the tenderest gifts of grace is the permission to be small for a while. The world often demands grandeur. Grace allows the quiet life. It lets a person be a potter who mends a single bowl. It allows a night to be held without spectacle. Toward the close of this part of the reading, I invite a quiet acceptance. Sit or lie as you are. Keep the lamp soft. Place the Bible where it feels right. Rest the hand on the cover if that helps. Breathe with a sense that something good is offered without calculation. Let the word grace sit like a small bird on the windowsill. Watch it breathe without needing it to do more. I will read now for a few minutes. The voice stays low. The sentences come slow. The pauses are long enough for the word to fall into the heart. If sleep comes, it is welcomed. If wakefulness remains, hold the rhythm. Either state is part of this gentle work. When the reading ends, the lamp keeps its circle of light a little longer. The Bible rests open. Grace lingers in that quiet. It does not leave immediately. It remains like a presence at the edge of the room. You may notice it again tomorrow in some small kindness, or you may only notice it in a memory of the way the chest felt lighter for an hour. That is enough. Now rest with the thought that grace is not a distant promise. It is near. It comes in simple things. It changes small moments. It invites trust, not perfection. Let the breath keep time. Let the lamp hold the page. Allow the choir to keep you company. The night is not empty. It is full of gentle gifts. Keep one of them close as you sleep. I sit with the lamp low and the Bible open. The paper makes a gentle sound when my thumb moves along the margin. The night keeps a steady hush. My voice is soft. I invite the room into a practice of prayer that steadies the body and calms the mind. Begin by settling. Let the feet find the floor or the mattress. Allow the shoulders to drop. Loosen the jaw. The small muscles around the eyes can rest. Let the hands lie where they feel natural. These are simple changes. They matter. They tell the body that work is over. For now, notice the breath. Do not force it. Watch it like a quiet bird. Each inhale comes in. Each exhale goes out. Breathe in slowly for a count of 4. Hold very gently for a count of 2. Breathe out for a count of 6. Repeat this 3 times. The chest softens. The pulse finds a calmer rhythm. The mind follows the breath as a companion follows a lantern. Place a hand over the heart, if it helps. The warmth there is an anchor. Feel the steady beat beneath the palm. It is small and true. It keeps time even when the mind spins. Let that rhythm remind you that life continues. Let it be a bridge from hurried thinking to quiet being. A short prayer need not be many words. A single name, spoken silently, is enough. A brief sentence held in the mind can be the whole practice for a night. Say something like a small claim of trust. Let the phrase be slow. Repeat it silently with the breath. The sound of a name in the quiet becomes a steady drum of companionship. When thoughts drift in, receive them kindly. Do not chase them away as if they are intruders. Acknowledge them. This is a thought about tomorrow. This is a memory, and then let them move on. Like leaves carried by a slow stream, return to the breathing phrase. The practice is gentle, patient work. It does not scold. It invites. Prayer often brings a changing in the body first. Muscles enclenchent. The jaw releases its hold. The stomach eases. Sleepiness might arrive. The head may feel lighter. These small physical shifts are evidence of prayer's calming effect. They are not dramatic. They are subtle. They are reliable when tended to with steady breath. Make a small list in the mind. 1 or 2 needs. Not a long inventory. Choose just one thing to bring into this quiet. It may be weariness. It may be fear. It may be gratitude for a small kindness received. Offer that thing in a sentence, so brief it fits inside a single breath. Hold it there without trying to solve it. This offering is not a bargaining. It is a handing over, practice listening. After offering the need, stay silent. Do not hurry to fill the quiet with more words. Expect nothing. Expecting is a form of haste. Listening opens more room. It lets a different kind of peace arrive. Sometimes a thought will come back that softens the hard place. Sometimes nothing seems to happen. Both are allowed. Use images when words feel thin. Imagine a soft light at the center of the chest. See it widen a fingertip every time you breathe in. See it settle a little more each time you breathe out. Or picture a river moving slowly past a shore. Place the worry by the water's edge. Watch the current carry its weight without forcing the river. The image is not a cure. It becomes a companion for the mind. Confession can be part of prayer, but it need not be heavy. If guilt is present, speak a small truth into the night. Name one regret, and then offer a simple intention to do better when possible. The act of naming loosens the knot. It does not erase the past. It removes the need to carry every burden alone. Turn then to gratitude. It is not a performance. It is a gentle balancing. Think of one small thing that felt kind today. A warm cup. A word from a friend. The way the sun softened an ordinary view. Let that small memory sit in the chest. Feel its warmth. Gratitude does not cancel pain. It widens the room, so both sorrow and thanks can exist side by side. Move into quiet petition. Ask for what is needed. Keep the requests small. Ask for rest. Ask for courage tomorrow. Ask for gentleness in a hard conversation. Do not try to list every fear. Choose one tender item to bring you. Speak it clearly in the mind. Let it be short enough to ride on the breath. Allow room for intercession. Think of one other person. Hold their face in the imagination. Offer a short wish for them. Wish them peace. Wish them ease. This act of remembering another loosens the grip of the self. It often brings an unexpected calm that feels like cool water on a hot day. Sit in silence again. This is the most important part. Silence is where prayer often does its quiet work. It is not empty. It is full of listening. If a feeling of presence comes, let it be. If a consoling thought appears, receive it. If sleep gathers at the edges of awareness, lead it. The practice loves rest. If your mind resists, silence. Hold a soft rhythm. Count the breaths gently. Label each inhale and exhale with a word receive on the inhale. Release on the exhale. These words are not magic. They are anchors. They return the wandering mind to the heart. They carry a tone of gentleness, more than a tone of command. When peace presses lightly against the chest, notice how the body answers. The shoulders release more. The face relaxes. The hands unclench. The mouth may hold a slow, nearly hidden smile. These signs are small. They are true. Let them be landmarks for future nights. Remember what a calm night feels like. Keep that memory for later. If sleep does not come, do not treat the night as failure. The practice of prayer is not only for falling asleep. It is for resting in a different way. Rest can mean being held by the quiet even while awake. It can mean a gentleness that steadies the mind enough to wake tomorrow with less rawness. This form of rest is its own blessing. Sometimes the most helpful prayer is a long listening, with no words at all. Place the Bible closed for a moment on the lap. Rest the hand on its cover. Feel the weight. The book has been a companion to many nights. Its presence is a reminder that prayer is part of a larger story of companionship and care. End the prayer with a small gesture. Fold the hands or place them. Palms up. On the knees, say a short sentence of trust in the mind, and then let the sentence sit unguarded. The final moments of a prayer sequence are like tucking a child in. There is a last look, a smoothing of the blanket, a promise to return. If fear stirs after the practice, breathe into it without shame. Use the same short rhythm. Inhale for 4. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Let the breath speak steadiness. The body responds before belief catches up. The repetition of that rhythm rewrites the moment. I read from the Bible slowly after the prayer. If the room wants more sound, the words are measured and spare. The pauses between lines are long. They are designed to let the silence do its work. The sound of Scripture read in this way often becomes a soft fence around the night. It keeps the mind from taking sudden leaps. Tonight, I hold this practice lightly in my own hands. As I read, the act of praying together, though separated by walls and distance, creates a small community. Each quiet breath in each room becomes part of a larger rhythm. The shared practice comforts by its mere existence. Before I close this part, I offer a simple blessing in my thought. May the breath you hold steady your heart. May a small peace settle into your bones. May the presence that accompanies the prayer be patient and kind. These words are not a test. They are a wish offered into the night. Rest now as you are. If sleep arrives, let it take you quietly. If wakefulness remains, keep the lamp low and the Bible near. Repeat the short breathing practice when needed. Return to the simple offerings and name a single need, a short gratitude. Let prayer be small and true. I will read on when you are ready. For now, keep the hush close. Let the room be a place where the breath and a short, steady prayer make a safe space. The night is held. Peace moves softly through it. Stay there a little while. Let the calm deepen. I sit with the lamp low and the Bible open. The pages have a soft weight under my hand. The night presses gently at the windowsill. The air is still. My voice is quiet as I move toward a truth that matters tonight, trusting in God's plan. Trust is not a single act. It is a way of breathing. It is a posture more than proof. I do not claim to understand every turn of the road. I know the comfort that comes when trust settles like a small stone in the chest. I read these words aloud, not to produce certainty, but to invite a steadier heart. Begin with the body. Let the shoulders drop. Ease the jaw. Place a hand over the ribs and feel the slow rise and fall of breath. Each inhalation brings a small permission. Each exhalation releases a small weight. Trust grows in these small repetitions. The body learns the stance of faith before the mind does. Think of trust as a path that is often hidden by fog. The next step may be unclear. The horizon may say nothing, yet the path exists beneath the feet. The role of trust is to take the next small step. One steady foot after another is enough. The Bible offers stories of people who could not see the whole path. They moved forward anyway, guided by a sense that someone steady watched over them. I read those passages slowly, letting them be companions rather than proofs. Sometimes trust is a slow choosing. It looks like a repeated decision to believe that suffering is not final. It looks like holding a hand in the dark and not demanding answers. I recall a night when worry kept my mind wide awake. Blanc-Folleteur. Doors remained closed. The future felt like an unknown room. I folded a small card and placed it by the lamp. On it I wrote a short sentence, not my timing, but your care. I slept poorly at first. The card did not solve the problem. The act of placing it beside the bed steadied the hands. The feeling of being watched over loosened enough to allow sleep. That small ritual was a form of trust. It was simple and honest. Trust does not mean passivity. It does not excuse neglect. It is not a passive resignation to whatever happens. Often it accompanies careful action. The two move together. One plans, one prays, one works, one rests. The Bible's pages do not promise instant removals of pain. They promise a presence that meets work and rest alike. I read these passages as a quiet partner for the plans we make and the nights we endure. Fear likes to tell a story of solitary struggle. Fear suggests that being in control is the only way to be safe. Trust offers a different story. It says you are held even when you are not in control. Imagine sitting in a small boat on a wide lake. The oars are at rest. The stars are thin and certain above. The boat moves slowly on a current you cannot see. You do not steer for a moment. You breathe and notice the water. You do not surrender the oars forever. You only allow a pause from constant pulling. This pause is not weakness. It is an admission that strength comes in many forms, including the strength to rest. A helpful image is a gardener tending young plants. Seedlings need light, water, and time. The gardener checks the soil. The gardener pulls a weed now and then. The gardener cannot rush the root to grow. Plans can be like that. Small acts of care paired with patience. Trust is the patient waiting that still does needed work. The Bible's metaphors often teach this tender rhythm. I read them slowly and let the images settle like soil on the hands. If the mind argues that trusting is risky, acknowledge the thought. Do not fight it with slogans. Let it breathe. Bring the mind back to one small action of trust. It could be a short prayer requesting courage for tomorrow. It could be placing a written intention where it can be seen. It could be choosing to forgive one small grievance that clings like burrs to the hem of the day. These small acts are the scaffolding of trust. Prayer is an essential part of learning this trust. It does not always change circumstances. Often it changes the one who prays. Prayer narrows the horizon to the presence at hand. It turns busy thinking into a directed breath. When anxiety rises, speak one brief sentence of trust. Let the phrase be gentle and short. Repeat it slowly with the breath. The word becomes an anchor rather than an argument. Trust also rests on memory. Recall a time when a worry dissolved, or a new door opened after a long season. Memory is a teacher that shows God's care in past days. Keep a small, private list of such nights. It need not be grand. It can be a single line in a notebook. Over team. The list becomes a witness. On darker nights, read one item from it. Let it remind the heart that help has come before and will come again. Sometimes trusting God's plan asks for endurance more than clarity. Endurance is faithful breathing through the hard stretches. I do not mean a stoic silence. I mean a steady giving of the heart to what is true and kind. The Bible contains many quiet examples of endurance. I do not read them as tests. I read them as stories of people who kept breathing and kept walking. Their walk is an invitation rather than a demand. When plans fall apart, it is natural to ask why. That question may not be answered tonight. It may never be answered in full. In the quiet, accept that some things remain mysteries. Mystery is not always an enemy. It can be a room where trust grows. In that room, one can place the worst fears on the table and then step back with a measured breath. The presence in the room is not absent. It simply does not always speak in the language we expect. Trusting God's plan often reorients the heart toward mercy. Instead of measuring worth by success, trust measures it by presence. Presence looks like a neighbor keeping vigil. Presence looks like a lamp left on the porch. Presence looks like someone who waits patiently and does not tally faults. These small images carry a weight that explanation cannot. I read such lines to remind the heart of what steady companionship feels like. If control feels necessary for safety, practice letting go in a small, safe way. Identify something minor that can be handed over tonight. It could be an upcoming trivial worry, a minor decision, or a small fear of tomorrow's weather. Whisper a short sentence of release. Imagine laying that small thing on the Bible's cover. Close the hand gently. This symbolic act trains the muscles of trust without asking for more than the heart can give. Boundaries remain important, even in trust. Trust does not require unconditional exposure. It allows for wise guards. It supports asking for clarity where possible. Trust and discretion can live together. The Bible's wisdom often pairs the two. Read that wisdom slowly. Let it feel like a hand on the shoulder rather than a list of musts. There will be nights when the promise of trust feels like a thin reed against a storm. That is real. On those nights, do not expect resolve to come in fullness. Allow small mercies to enter. Drink water. Shift position. Say one short line of trust with the breath. Each repetition is a quiet vote for hope. When fatigue is deep, the practice of trusting may be as simple as a return to listening. Lie still. Let the lamp be low. Place a hand over the heart. Close the eyes and listen to the steady rhythms. In the room, the soft tick of a clock, the far rustle of leaves, the slow cadence of breath. These small sounds are reminders that life persists and that care moves in small pulses through the dark. I read the scriptures tonight not to convince by argument, but to accompany this act of trust. Each sentence I speak is intended to be a small step, not a leap. The pauses between phrases are part of the message. In the pause, the heart has room to respond. In the silence, the presence can be felt as a quiet fact, rather than a clever idea. Trusting God's plan means choosing faith as a way of living alongside doing. It means working and resting, planning and releasing, holding and letting go. It means admitting fear without surrendering to it. It means leaning into the steady presence that does not demand perfect answers. I will close this portion with a small, intentional practice. Take 3 slow breaths. On the first, Name one small worry. Hold it for a moment. On the second, name one small thing you can do tomorrow. Let the thought be simple. On the third, say a brief sentence of trust. Silently, the path is watched. Breathe out and feel a small ease. The lamp stays low. The Bible rests open. The night keeps its hush. Trust is not done for you. It is offered again and again. Take it gently. Let the breath be the teacher. If sleep comes, let it unfold. If wakefulness remains, hold the lamp near and return to the breaths. I sit here and will read on when you are ready. For now, let the small stone of trust lie warm in the chest. Let it steady the next step. I put the lamp a little closer tonight. The light is kind. The Bible lies open where the page flutters in the small warmth. My voice settles into a slow, steady rhythm. The room is quiet. A thought moves forward the light of God in darkness. I tell of a night when darkness felt very near. The house had been quiet for hours. Rain fell steady and low. Street lamps blurred into the wet air. Away from the windows, the house kept its small pocket of warmth. Yet inside the chest, there is a fatigue that lights cannot reach. Things feel dim and flattened. The mind resembles a room with the switches all off. On that night, sleep does not come. Thoughts move in soft, persistent circles. Memories arrive like shadows across the ceiling. The phone's small glow seems intrusive. The lamp is allowed to stay low. As now, the Bible is open. Though the eyes keep slipping away, the pages become a steady presence. Like a hand resting on the table, a verse comes to me, like a match struck in the dark. It is simple. It is not loud. It touches the place where despair might have spread deeper. The words do not chase away the night. They offer a narrow beam. The beam does not need to be large. It only needs to be true. I rise and move to the window. Rain runs like glass down the panes. The street beyond is a smear of light and shadow. Standing there, I do not know what comes next. I do not see the full map. I see only the glint of a distant lamp. The thought that some presence watches the path is more important than any chart. It steadies the shoulders. It places a small covenant on the breath. You are not alone. I return to the chair. The Bible rests on my lap. My thumb follows the margin. The lamp throws a shallow pool of light. I read aloud to the room, not to solve anything, only to let sound sit in the quiet. The voice is soft. The sentences land like a light tapping at a window. Between them are long pauses that allow the heart to answer. A different kind of light arrives then. It is less a change in the room, and more in the way the room is held. The edges of worry feel less sharp. The chest is not suddenly empty of fear. The fear becomes smaller. It takes up less space. The presence that the words point to does not banish night. It becomes a companion that makes steps possible. On another night, years earlier, there is a memory pressed like a small photograph. A child is ill. The hospital room holds a different kind of night. Machines make soft, regulus sounds. The skin under the lamp looks pale and tender. The hours stretch long. Hope feels like a thin thread. The waiting is a whole kind of darkness in itself. In that room, the pages of the Bible are thin and folded with care. The hand that holds the book is steady but tired. I trace a familiar verse with a fingertip. The words do not promise an easy fix. They offer the image of light entering a dark place. That image is enough. It is not a cure. It is a steady lamp set down close to the bed. The child sleeps while the light stays near. The hands that worry relax enough to breathe. There, too, the light does not remove the heaviness. It changes the posture toward it. The hands stop trying to scoop the entire ocean. They take one small cup of peace. That cup is enough for the hour. Rest comes like a small tide, when the body stops battling every wave. I tell these scenes not to preach, but to share how light can appear. The light arrives in small ways. A verse that has lodged in the mind, a neighbor's quiet visit, a pressed hand on the shoulder, a song that moves through the hush. None of these are grand miracles. They are invitations to notice. If the darkness tonight feels absolute, try this with me. Close the eyes if that helps. Breathe in slowly. Hold for a soft count. Release with a long, gentle exhale. Let the breath become a small lantern. Place a hand over the chest. Feel the pulse. It is steady. It is small. Each beat is a tiny flare of life. Now, picture a thin line of light at the edge of your awareness. It may be a color. It may be the memory of a candle at a window. Let it be narrow, not blinding. Imagine that line widening with each breath. The light does not push the darkness away all at once. It simply makes a thin path. Follow that path with your imagination. Take one small step along it. The next step may be unclear. Take it anyway. This practice is not meant to erase fear. It is meant to teach the hands to move toward the gentle presence. The presence is like a neighbor who does not demand answers, but who stays long enough for the breath to settle. Sometimes the light comes through a particular passage, read aloud. The words then become a kind of map for the heart. I read softly, line by line, and let the silence between phrases become part of the message. The pauses are where the listener can place a single thought. The thought might be a name, a short prayer, a small admission of need. The space between lines is generous enough for the heart to rest. There are nights when the feeling of darkness is tied to a long memory. The past can gather like fog. In those moments, a small prayer can be a compass. Speak a brief sentence inwardly. It may be asking for courage, or for the gift of seeing one bright thing tomorrow. Keep the sentence short. Let it travel with the breath. Light in darkness is also practical. Water the body a little. Adjust the pillow. Move the feet until they find a warm place on the floor. Small care for the body invites the spirit to follow. A small ritual can be helpful. Light a candle if it feels safe. Place it near the Bible. Watch the flame. Notice how it does not banish the night, but makes a steady place. I do not promise that the dark will vanish. I offer instead the image of a lamp placed near the bed. The lamp permits sleep. It permits small bravery. It makes a way for the next step The Bible speaks often in these terms, a light in a dark place. The metaphor is simple. It is honest. It does not pretend that everything becomes bright at once. When the mind threatens to spin into endless questions, return to one small light. Name it quietly. Keep the name on the breath for 3 cycles. On the first inhale, think of the light. On the exhale, release some weight into that light. Repeat. These cycles are not a magic trick. They are a steady practice that trains the body to accept calm. Sometimes the light arrives through other people. A friend calls at an unexpected hour. A neighbor leaves soup at the door. A voice reads a psalm over the phone. These are ordinary acts. Given without fanfare, they become beams in the night. Receive them when they come. If no one appears tonight, imagine one kind face by the lamp. Imagine the presence of someone who cares. Let that imagination be real enough for the breath to slow. If sadness sits stubbornly and will not move, do not force it. Place it on the lap like a tired child and let it be. Offer it a small kindness. Name one small comfort that can be done tomorrow. Sometimes the light is the plan of a tiny action that may lie within reach. The next day, perform that gentle act and watch how the darkness grows thinner. As I read, my voice remains low. The Bible is a companion for nights like this. The words inside it often arrive as small lights rather than grand solutions. They are designed to steady, not to overwhelm. For those who listen tonight, allow the sound to be a soft fence around the mind. Let it keep the most intrusive thoughts from crossing over. I finish with a small blessing in thought. May the light find the small places where the night gathers. May it be a steady lamp rather than a flash. May the breath carry the truth of presence into the bones. Rest with the lamp on low. If that comforts, keep the Bible where it can be seen. Let the light you imagine be a faithful thing. If sleep comes, let it take you in its slow, tender way. If wakefulness remains, stay with the breath and the imagined line of light. Let it be enough for now. I will read again when you wish, and the lamp will stay near. The room keeps its hush. The Bible rests open. The small light of God moves gently through the dark. I move the lamp closer. The light is warm and still. The Bible rests open like a familiar friend. Tonight, I come to a subject that sits at the center of everything. Love above all. I speak of receiving it. I speak of how it heals and restores. Love here is not an idea to argue about. It is a thing to be held. It is a steady presence that changes small things first. It comes soft. Not loud. It does not demand achievement. It asks only to be received. I begin with a small picture. Imagine a garden after a storm. The beds are pressed and mudded. Broken stems lie where they fell. A gardener walks in with a soft basket. The hands are careful. The gardener does not judge the ruined patches. The hands mend what can be mended. The hands plant again where planting helps. The touch is slow and patient. That is how love works. It keeps at the task of making the space life-giving again. I read from the pages before me in a slow voice. I do not call for answers. I only let words fall like gentle rain. The passages I choose speak of belonging. of wounds made whole, of a welcome that asks nothing in return. When I read, I let the sentence rest. The pause is where the words do their softest work. Accepting love begins with a small physical motion. Place one hand on the chest. Feel the warmth there. Let the palm be a witness to the heart's beating. Breathe in slowly through the nose. Hold lightly. Breathe out through the mouth, as if releasing something too heavy to carry tonight. Repeat this 3 times. Each breath is a small opening. Each opening invites something new to enter. Love heals by meeting the wound, not by pretending it did not exist. Think of a cracked pot. A craftsman takes the pieces and sets them together. The seams remain. The pot is not the same as before. It holds water again. The maker may even seal the cracks with gold. The cracks do not vanish. They become part of the beauty in the same way. Love does not erase the past. It changes the way the past lives inside the present. Wounds become stories of survival rather than ongoing punishment. I do not ask for quick transformation. I know the slow seasons. I know how tender the heart can be. The reading tonight will not hurry healing. It will stand beside it. I let a line rest on the ear, and then wait. The waiting is part of the work. There is a small exercise I offer now. Close your eyes if that helps. Picture a shallow well. Its stones are old. The rope is frayed but steady. Lower an empty cup into the well. Feel the coolness of the air near the water. Draw the cup up slowly. As the cup fills, imagine the water is love. Drink one quiet sip. Let the coolness move through the chest. Do not demand a flood. Accept this single sip. Set the cup down. Sit with the feeling for a moment. This practice is not a symbol of perfection. It is a tiny act of receiving. Love often comes as permission to be small. Society asks for performance. Love relaxes that grip. It allows a person to breathe and be ordinary. I have found this in the pages I read aloud. The words I choose do not list conditions. They place a hand on the shoulder and say, "Stillness is allowed now. You may rest without first learning to be worthy." Shame can be loud in the night. It claims to know every fault and to demand recompense. Love speaks in a softer tone. It does not deny truth. It does not justify wrongs. It simply refuses to let shame have the final say. Imagine shame as a heavy cloak. Love is a warm blanket that is laid gently on top. The cloak remains, but the warmth changes how it feels. The body tolerates the weight differently. Receiving love sometimes asks for a practical step. Write your name on a small card. Not for anyone else to see. Fold it and place it on the Bible. The act is simple. The card is a quiet witness. It is a small ceremony of acceptance. When the hands perform that small rite, something in the chest loosens. The paper does not change the world. The motion trains the muscles of the heart to open. Love restores relationships in measured ways. It starts in the inward room, before any reconciliation with another begins. A private healing often must occur. The heart first learns to accept a kinder story about itself. Then the outward steps follow. Restoration is rarely dramatic. It is a series of patient offerings. and small repairs. A single honest word, a short apology, a steady presence over time. Each act is ordinary and enough. I read aloud lines that talk about being known. The text remind me that someone sees more than the mistakes, that someone reads the small, honest parts that are kind. As the sentences land, the listener may notice a softening near the throat. That is the place where belonging settles. Allow the softening to take its course. There are nights when receiving love feels impossible. The mind lists reasons why it cannot be true. In those hours, a practical breathing practice helps. Inhale on a count of 4. Pause for a gentle 2. Exhale on a count of 6. On the next cycle, place one short sentence in the breath I am held. Use the inhalation to gather the phrase. Use the exhale to let the phrase sink down. Repeat this for a few minutes. The breath does not conjure belief by force. It opens the body so that acceptance can arrive slowly. Love also heals by creating a new identity. It says, who you are is not defined by failure. It names you as belonging. This change in identity is quiet at first. It grows through repetition, hearing the truth spoken slowly. Again and again, lays a new track in the mind. I read those truths aloud, not as demons, but as invitations. The listener may reply with a simple thought. No sermon, no debate, just a patient reintroduction to what is true. Restoration touches memory as well. Some memories store themselves as sharp edges. Love puts soft padding around them. The memories do not disappear. They become less likely to lacerate. Consider the image of a nurse wrapping an old scar with fresh cloth. The scar is still there, but the new dressing prevents infection. Love acts like that dressing. It keeps the wound clean and allows healing beneath. Practically, this can look like small acts of care. Make a warm drink, fold a blanket, send a brief note of thanks to someone who helped in a small way once. These outward acts are gentle teachers for the inside. They tell the mind that life can have soft moments again. They train the hands to receive kindness as well as to give it. Love invites a new rhythm for decision-making. Instead of acting out of fear or prove-it energy, choose one small move that comes from rest. It might be delaying a conversation until the chest is a little steadier. It might be letting another person carry something without apology. These are not grand gestures. They are small shifts that show the heart a different way forward. I often ask the listener to hold one word for a while. Tonight that word is acceptance. Repeat it slowly inside. Let it be a soft echo in the mind. Do not try to force change. Let acceptance be a little door opened by a quiet hand. Through that door, healing and restoration will pass when they are ready. As I read the final lines of this part, my voice slows even more. The lamp throws its pool of light on the page. The Bible rests like an open porch. I place a hand on it and breathe. I promise to read again. I promise to stay with the room until sleep arrives, or until the morning asks for steps. Before I close this portion, I offer one final practice. Place both hands gently on the chest. Take 3 long breaths. On the first, think of a kindness you once received. and let it warm the heart. On the second, think of one small thing you can do tomorrow that is tender to yourself. On the third, breathe in slowly and, without force, offer the thought, I am loved. Let that phrase rest without having to be perfect. Rest now with the image of the gardener tending the beds. The hands do not demand rapid bloom. They steady the soil and return each day. The love that heals is like those hands. It is steady and patient. It restores quietly. Piece by piece. The lamp stays low. The Bible remains open. I will read softly when you wish. For now, let the breath and the small practices hold you. Receive the love that waits. Let it mend a little thing tonight. Let it make a way for rest. The night keeps you. The love above all watches. And it is true. I move the lamp a little nearer. The room breathes with soft light. The Bible sits on my lap like a familiar friend. Tonight, I settle into a particular kind of reading. I read about promises. I read to invite calm. Promises are not abstract tonight. I speak of them as anchors. I have held promises in moments when the night felt too large. I have carried them like small stones in my pocket. Each stone makes the hand steadier. Once, in a thin hour, after a long day of decisions, sleep would not come. The mind replayed choices until the chest grew tired. I place my hand on the Bible and open to a page that speaks of rest and companionship. The words do not explain everything. They do something simpler. They say someone near watches and cares. The sentence acts like a slow tide. It pulls the edge of fear back a little. The tension in the shoulders loosens. That is how a promise works for me. It does not remove the work. It makes the waiting bearable. Another time, the house felt too quiet. A long phone call had ended with no clear answer. The hours that followed felt like an empty room. I read aloud a passage that promises presence through uncertainty. My voice is small. The words are smaller. They fill a tiny space. That small filling is enough to remind the chest it is not alone. The quiet stays. But now it feels held. The presence that a promise provides is like a hand at the back of the neck. It steadies without shaming the trembling. I have a memory of a winter morning when money ran thin and the mind grew sharp with worry. A promise about provision passed like a warm current through that anxious space. I do not tell it as a solution to every need. I tell it as a moment when the thought of care settled the stomach enough to think clearly. The bill still existed. The problem did not evaporate. But the promise gave enough room to act kindly toward the situation rather than against it. The hands moved with less panic. That small steadiness changed decisions for the better. Promises sometimes arrive as sentences I place on paper. I write one on a small card and fold it twice. The paper is light, but the act of writing gives shape to the mercy. I tuck the card under the pillow, or I set it on the nightstand where the lamp can catch it. The card is not magic. It is a reminder. Its presence calls the mind back when it wanders into fear. The ritual of writing makes the promise feel less like a distant text and more like a near friend. I read slowly now. I do not hurry the lines. Each sentence is a soft step. I give time for the heart to answer. Promises have their own pace. They sink in not as arguments, but as rest. That is why I pause. The silence between lines is where the promise lands. Think of promises as trained paths through fog. The fog does not lift when a promise is spoken. Footing appears because someone has walked before and marked the way. A single phrase that promises steadiness is like a trail marker. I follow it one small step at a time. The mind finds steadier ground under the feet. There is a practice I invite you to try if you wish. Choose one short promise from the reading. Make it plain in your mind. It can be the promise of presence, of rest, of being known. Keep it to a few words. Write it on a small scrap if that comforts. Hold the scrap to your chest. Breathe slowly. With each inhale, let the phrase become slightly larger inside. With each exhale, release a small fear. Repeat this cycle for 4 or 5 breaths. The practice is simple. It is not a cure. It trains the body to receive a truth slowly. I remember an evening sitting beside a friend who was tired of trying. The pages of the Bible between us offered no quick verdict. They offered small promises that did not demand immediate change. We read a short phrase together, and then sat in silence. The promise did not fix the surrounding mess. It made the room kinder. It offered a place to rest the heart for a moment. That shared holding is a form of serenity in itself. Promises often arrive through images. I sometimes imagine a long rope tied to a sturdy tree. The rope is a promise. The tree is a steady care. When the wind blows, the rope does not vanish. It remains fastened. The hand that grips the rope feels less tempted to run. The image does not explain the wind. It only teaches how to keep a hand attached to something that does not move in the storm. Another image that helps is a shallow pool of water. Drop a single pebble into it and watch the rings. The promise is that pebble, it moves outward. The rings are small changes. They are not instant transformation. They are tiny, real movements toward calm. Watching the rings teaches patience. It shows that serenity grows with gentle, repeated motion. I also use a breathing rhythm tied to the promises. Breathe in while naming the promise silently. Hold for a count. Breathe out and imagine the promise spreading from the chest into the limbs. Repeat 3 times. The breath carries the promise into the body. That embodied remembering matters. The mind alone can be slippery. The body remembers differently. There are nights when a promise seems far from true. When grief presses, the words may sound nearly hollow. I do not deny that. Instead, I invite gentleness. Let the promise enter like a slow visitor. Do not expect a ceremony of light. Expect a small warmth that might take hold in one place of the body. A single softening in the throat. A quiet slackening in the shoulders. That small change is a beginning. I read aloud now with an even softer voice. I choose lines that speak plainly of enduring kindness. As I read, I pause long enough for your own breath to match the cadence. The space after each sentence is a place to place a single thought. Let the thought be small. Let it be a name of need or a quiet thanks. Keep the mind from building an inventory. One item at a time suffices. If sleep comes, let it come. The promises will continue to do their work in the dreaming hours. If wakefulness remains, hold one promise like a small lamp. Let it keep the immediate dark at bay. Do not worry about solving everything tonight. Serenity is often a matter of tolerable light, rather than sudden noon. Sometimes a promise calls for a practical action. If worry steals energy, do one small, kind thing for the body. Drink water. Change position. Pull a blanket up to the chin. These acts are not separate from the promise. They are ways the body cooperates with what the heart is learning. The mind and the limbs work together to receive calm. I have kept a small list over the years. On the list are moments when a promise changed the shape of a night. A hospital vigil eased. A fear of tomorrow softened. A lonely room felt less empty. The list is not a catalogue of miracles. It is a gentle record that the promises are not empty. On tough nights, I read one item from the list. Memory becomes a teacher that shows how promises have been true before. That trust aids tonight's rest. There will be times when doubt resists. That is natural. Doubt can be honest company. It asks questions worth asking. Still, allow one promise to stand like a small gate in the heart. Do not try to answer every question. Let the gate be a place to step through for an hour. The air inside is different. The breath is softer. The body is calmer. As I close this part of the reading, I offer a final practice. Place the Bible close. Lay one hand over the heart. Choose one promise from our reading tonight. Make it into a short sentence you can carry. Breathe in on that sentence. Hold gently. Breathe out and imagine the promise settling into the ribs. Repeat this 3 times. Then rest the hand there. Let sleep come if it will. Let wakefulness remain if it must. Either state is met by the promise you hold. I will stay here for a little while longer, reading slowly if you wish. The lamp stays low. The Bible rests open. The promise you choose tonight will be a steady thing. Keep it near. Let it teach the breathing heart how to rest. The night is large, but promises make small. Steady entrances for peace. Rest, and let them in. I come to the room with the lamp still warm. The Bible rests where my hand can find it. My voice is low. Tonight I speak about strength that arrives quietly through faith. I do not promise dramatic change. I speak of small renewals that steady the heart. Settle where you are. Let the body sink a little deeper into the chair or the bed. Ease the shoulders. Soften the jaw. Place a hand over the ribs if that comforts. Feel the breath move under your palm. Keep that simple contact as a point of return. Faith is not a force that shouts. It is often a soft, steady push from behind. In hard seasons, the push feels like a small hand on the back. It asks you to take another step. It asks the breath to come a little steadier. Tonight, I describe how that hand has felt to me in nights when strength was running thin. A night comes to mind. The work had tired my limbs. The mind was heavy with worry that would not be quiet. I sit by the lamp, open the book, and read a short phrase that has lived with me for years. The words rest like a small plank across a chasm. They do not fill the distance. They make a safe place to stand. I breathe slowly. For me, breath and faith move together. breathing in. I gather the small sentence into the chest. Breathing out. I let some of the tightness leave. The body learns the rhythm before the mind does. Strength grows as the breath steadies. There is a practice I return to when energy dwindles. Place both feet on the floor. Press them down just enough to notice the contact. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold lightly for 2. Breathe out for 6 counts. Repeat 3 times. With each cycle, imagine a thin thread of light moving from the soles of the feet, up through the legs into the chest. The image is simple. The breath makes it real. Strength rises not as a rush, but as a steady current. Sometimes strength arrives through a remembered promise. I keep a few short phrases folded into a card by the lamp. 1 line will do. I reach for it. Read it slowly, and let the sentence sit. The words do not solve the day's troubles. They act like anchors. An anchored heart can think with less panic. The hands become available for gentle work. Faith also renews strength by reorienting sight. When the mind stares at the full load, the spine tightens. When I shift the gaze to one close, kind thing, an open page, a soft lamp, a single verse, the chest relaxes a fraction. That fraction is enough to move. Small vision changes make a path out of stuck places. I tell a memory of a thin morning. There is a waiting at the hospital window. The hours feel stretched. The hands are raw with fatigue. I read a short line from the book. The sentence is not a cure. It is a companion. It presses a quiet courage into the bones. Courage here is not bravado. It is the decision to breathe in and to face 1 more hour. That decision repeats and grows. Strength comes in repetitions. Faith and action walk together. When the chest is weak, small deeds feed the heart. Make a warm drink. Fold a cloth. Write 1 kindly word on a scrap of paper. These acts are tiny, but they place the hands into motion. Motion calls the spirit. The doing is not about fixing the whole problem. It is about telling the body that movement is allowed. When worry tells a long tale of worst outcomes, interrupt it with a brief counter-sentence. The counter need not be elaborate. A single truth held in the mind will suffice someone near cares. Rest is permitted. You are not required to carry this night alone. Repeat it slowly with the breath. The phrase acts as a soft rain on a runaway thought. Sometimes, strength returns through community. I have sat through nights when a friend simply sat in silence. No argument. No offering of solutions. The presence itself carried weight. The room felt fuller and lighter at once. If a companion is near you tonight, accept their quiet. If none is near, imagine a steady hand resting nearby. The imagination often holds what the body cannot. For a season, faith renews courage by remembering what has been. I keep a small list of nights when help came after a long stretch. I do not catalogue miracles. I note small mercies, a kind word at dawn, a door opening a day later, sleep that came when it seemed impossible. On hard evenings, read 1 item from that list in the mind. Memory is a teacher that proves provision has not been absent. There are times when strength must be replenished slowly. A fractured morning. Abrí los. A slow grief these do not mend in a single sitting. Take the time to give the body what it needs. Water, food that comforts, short walks in the daylight. These are practical sacraments. They tell the nervous system that care exists. Faith supports these simple acts. It makes them sacred without ceremony. A short ritual helps. When the heart feels fragile, light the lamp. Open the book to one small passage. Place the palm over the heart. Breathe in deeply for a count of 4. On the inhale, picture a cool, steady light filling the chest. Hold for a gentle 2. On the exhale, imagine that light moving into the shoulders and down the arms. Repeat twice more. The hands become less numb. The shoulders soften. The whole frame accepts a little more load. Faith can also work through honest asking. There is no need for long prayers tonight. A single line of need voiced in the mind will do. Give me steady strength for the moment. Hold it with the breath. Let the asking be simple. The act of naming a need often unlocks the posture of receiving. When doubt creeps in, treat it with curiosity. Doubt may ask questions that have no immediate answers. Sit with the questions like a visitor. Offer it a cup of patience. Sometimes the best response is not rebuttal, but presence. Keep reading a small truth. Let the steady voice be the backdrop while doubt speaks itself out. Over time, the constant calm alters the shape of skepticism. I have learned not to demand immediate assurance. Faith tends the long work. It holds the steady hand while days unfold. The small renewals of strength are not loud. They are like the slow repair of a well-worn shoe, new stitching, a frescinsole, a small polishing. The shoe does not become new in an instant. It becomes ready to walk again. Rest often becomes an act of faith. Allowing the body to sleep is trusting that the coming day will be met in time. Lay down the burdens that can be left. If certain things demand handling in the morning, write one small instruction on a scrap and set it by the lamp. That short act frees the mind to accept rest. Faith and rest are companions, not opposites. If anger or fear has hollowed out courage, meet them with brief movement. Stand up slowly. Stretch the limbs without strain. Walk to a window and name 3 small things you see outside. The exercise calls the senses back from the looping thoughts. Sensory shifts often renew strength, where thought alone cannot, when strength is needed for another person. Small, steady service is the way. Bring water. Fold a blanket. Sit and listen. The acts need not be grand. They are faithful stitches that build a shelter. The giver also receives. Service is a two-way channel for renewed strength. I read passages slowly tonight that speak of steady help and of peace that comes from keeping close to what is true. The phrases are short and direct. I pause long between each line. That silence is part of the renewal. Allow the words to sit in the chest like a small stone. Let them carry weight without pressure. There are nights when no obvious comfort appears. Strength may feel absent despite every effort. In those hours, choose small fidelity. Keep the lamp on low. Keep the book open. Keep the breath steady. Show up for the next small thing you can do. Faith honors that fidelity. It does not measure worth by immediate results, but by the quiet habit of presence. A final practice I offer is gentle and brief. Place the hand over the heart. Take 3 long breaths. On the first, name one small thing you feel you can do tomorrow. On the second, imagine your chest filling with a cool, patient light. On the third, say in the mind, give me strength for this hour. Hold the hand there for a moment longer. Feel the pulse under the palm. Let that pulse be the first tiny proof of renewed courage. I will read a few quiet lines now. The voice stays slow. The pauses are long. If sleep comes, rest into it. If wakefulness holds, return to the breathing practice whenever it is needed. Strength that comes by faith often arrives in slow currents. It warms the bones. It steadies the feet. It is enough for this night. When this part of the reading ends, the lamp will remain low. The Bible will rest open. The presence that has been invited will not leave at once. It stays near like a friend at the bedside. Take one more gentle breath with me. Let it settle in the chest. Keep that settling as a small companion into the next hour. I sit with the Bible open. The lamp near the page makes a small circle of warmth. My voice moves slowly. Tonight I bring a truth that steadies. I speak of hope as an anchor. Hope is not a quick fix. It is not a bright promise that erases the night. It is an anchor laid into deep water. The anchor holds a vessel steady when winds change and waves rise. The image is simple and kind. It gives the hands something to hold. I read a line from Hebrews. In a way that is quiet, the page speaks of hope that is sure and steady. A thing that grips the soul and keeps it from drifting. I let that idea settle without argument. It is enough to name it. Naming gives a place to begin. Imagine a small boat in soft night. The surface of the water moves in patient rolls. The oars are still. A single rope runs from the bow to the anchor below. The anchor does not glint. It does not need to. Its work is to bear weight, not to show off. When a squall comes, the boat does not panic. The chain hums. The hull remains in place. The crew breathes slower. They do not have to steer every gust. The anchor takes some of the strain. That is hope in God. It holds the heart, while the mind still wonders. It does not answer every question. It keeps the soul from being tossed by every passing thought. The steadiness is a small mercy. It is practical. It lets the hands rest enough to do what is nearest. I offer a short practice to make this image close. Close the eyes if that comforts. Breathe in slowly. Feel the air fill the ribs. Breathe out and imagine lowering an anchor into dark water. Let the rope feel solid under the fingers. With each breath, see the rope release a little more chain. The anchor finds the bottom. It digs in. The boat steadies. Repeat the breath 3 times. Let the chest notice the small easing. Hold one worry in the other hand as you breathe. Picture that worry has a small stone. Name it quietly. Drop the stone into the sea beside the boat. It slips from the fingers and sinks. The anchor bears the boat. The worry travels into deep water, where it can be held. This is not forgetting. It is a placement. It is a way of not carrying everything in the chest. I keep a smooth stone by the lamp. On difficult nights, I pick it up and let it be an anchor in the hand. The weight of the stone is a reminder that some burdens belong out of reach. For now, placing the stone beside the Bible is a small ritual. It asks nothing dramatic. It simply says, some things I hold tonight, other things I let the deep hold. Hope anchored in God is a patient companion. It shows itself in small acts. A quiet morning, when fear seems loud, becomes bearable, because a tiny promise has been held before sleep. A visit from a friend matters, because hope steadied the hands enough to answer the door. The anchor works in small increments. It keeps feet steady for one step at a time. There is a night I remember where the wind pressed against the window for hours. A letter had come that threatened plans. The mind made lists that ran like a river. I sat at the table and placed a hand over the Bible. I did not resolve the trouble. I lowered the small stone into a cup of water and watched the ripples. The image of the anchor came to mind. I breathed until the tightness softened. In the morning, the letter still awaited response, but the chest had room for clearer thought. The decision that followed was not perfect. It was steadier than the flurry had predicted. That steadiness began in the simple act of choosing an anchor. Hope does not mean ignoring reality. It does not require pretending wounds are not real. The anchor does not make the sea calm. It only keeps the life afloat while the storm moves through. That difference matters. Hopes that deny pain do more harm than good. An anchored hope holds pain in the presence of care. It says, this is hard, and you are not alone in it. A brief exercise can help when the mind rushes toward worst-case pictures. Sit or lie down. Place a hand on the sternum. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts. Hold softly for 2. Exhale for 6. As you inhale, picture the rope loosening. As you exhale, imagine the anchor settling and the boat swinging ever so slightly more peaceful. Repeat 4 cycles. Let the breathing be gentle. Do not demand an answer. Let that small rhythm teach the body it is safe enough to rest. Another gentle practice is to write a single word on a scrap of paper. Choose hope, anchor, steady, or another word that lands softly in the heart. Fold the paper once. Place it under the bedside lamp or beneath the Bible. The act is small. It is not a prayer for headlines. It is a gesture of alignment. It trains the hands and the mind to expect steadiness even in uncertain hours. Hope that anchors the soul often arrives through people. A neighbor's quiet visit, a note tucked in a bag, a friend who simply listens. These are the chains that connect the anchor to the life. They are ordinary and enough. When someone stays, a small tenderness enters. The anchor finds a better grip because there is shared weight. The load does not collapse. It becomes manageable. I read to you from the Bible because these images have steadied me. The pages hold many small maps for nights. They do not promise the eradication of storms. They promise a presence that does not flee. I do not read to fix things. I read to place another rope in the hands of the heart. When expectations break, it is tempting to grasp at any floating idea that seems like rescue. Hope anchored in God resists that flailing. It invites a steadying of the breath. It suggests doing one small thing well. The next right step matters more than a plan for every unknown. A quiet choice in the present often reroutes anxious energy into calm motion. Rest can be an act of hope. Lying down is a statement that the night can hold the body. Sleep is a trust that the morning will return. Choose rest without guilt. The anchor does not require earning permission to pause. Place the small stone beside the pillow. Let the weight remind the mind that rest is part of the faithful rhythm. For those whose hearts are full of long sorrow, hope may feel thin. That is a true thing. Thin hope is still hope. It is the thread that, when kept, gains strength by small use. Care for it by simple routines. A warm drink, a short walk near sunlight, a single sentence of thanks for something small. These acts are stitches for the frayed rope. If anger or doubt pulls at the line, greet the feeling with curiosity. Ask one small question. What is one thing I can do that is tender to myself tonight? Offer the answer as a tiny motion. Let that motion be a proof that hope can be practiced, not only felt. I will offer a short prayer in quiet for this room. The words are not a lecture. They are an invitation. May hope find a place to anchor. May the soul feel steadier by a small measure. May the breath slow, and the hands find work that is kindly. I speak these words softly, and then I pause. The pause is where the anchor does its work. Before I close this part, I invite one final small ritual. Take the smooth stone in the hand. Name one concern. Drop the name into the water in your mind. Visualize the anchor holding the boat. Place the stone beside your pillow. Breathe 3 slow, steady breaths. Each breath tucks the image deeper. Let the lamp be low. Let the Bible be near. Let hope rest like a rope between waking and sleeping. I will read on when you wish. For tonight, keep the image of the anchor close. Let it steady the heart, for one small step at a time. The night does not have to be conquered. It only needs a place to hold. Hope anchored in God offers that place. Rest now with that thought. Let the breath lower the anchor. Let peace gather in the gentle pull of the chain. The room is quiet. The Bible rests on my lap. My voice is slow. Tonight I turn toward community. Community is not a crowd. It is a small circle of steady hands. It is the neighbor who brings a loaf. It is the friend who sits in silence. It is the one who listens without trying to fix everything. That kind of presence changes nights. I have learned this over years of long evenings. A single visit can change the angle of a whole week. A cup of tea left at the door becomes a message you are seen. A short note tucked into an envelope will sit on a table and, in time, steady a trembling mind. These are small gestures. They matter in a practical way. When burdens grow heavy, they tend to stretch the body, thin, the shoulders tighten, the hands ache. A burden carried alone becomes heavier by habit. Letting another shoulder share the weight is not failure. It is wisdom. It is an act of friendship. Think of a quilt. Each patch is a different story. Some patches are bright with joy. Some are worn with grief. Stitched together, They make a whole that holds warmth. Community works like that quilt. One patch alone is small and cold. Many patches joined give shelter for the night. The Bible speaks often of bearing one another's burdens. I read those lines not as instruction to perform perfectly. I read them as an invitation to the ordinary art of staying. Stay with someone. Hold a hand. Make a small phone call. Carry a cup of water. These acts are the daily stitches that mend worn places. If loneliness sits on the chest, try a tiny outreach. Send one short message. It may be a single sentence. It may be a small question about a name remembered. The goal is not to solve everything. The goal is to bridge the space between two hearts. A single bridge makes passage possible. There are practical ways to invite community into the night. Keep a small list of 2 or 3 people who offer steady listening. Rotate through that list when the days feel heavy. Make a habit of calling one person for 5 minutes. Tell them one thing that went well or one worry that sits present. Short. Repeated connections build trust. Trust grows slowly. It becomes a place where burdens can land. Hospitality is a quiet practice. It does not require grand gestures. Invite someone for tea. Share simplement. Open the door without demand. The act of opening is itself a teaching life, does not have to be managed alone. The small exchange of food or a shared blanket reminds the body of human warmth. Listening is a skill that heals. Listen without offering immediate advice. Let silence do some of the work. When someone speaks, let the ear be the first responder. If a thought for response appears, hold it gently. Ask one gentle question instead. How does that feel tonight? That question invites someone to slow and to trust that they can be known. Sometimes the best gift is the permission to be ordinary. A friend who sits with a cup and watches a television show without conversation offers presence in a soft form. The presence says, I do not need you to produce meaning now. I will keep company while the night passes. Such company is a balm for a tired soul. A shared rhythm builds community quietly. Meet once a week for a short prayer or a reading. Keep the session brief. Read one simple verse. Pause long enough for everyone to breathe. Leave space for a single sentence from each person. Over team. Those short gatherings form a web. The web holds when storms come. There is a practice I suggest for those uneasy about reaching out. Choose a small task that can be done for someone else. Bring a loaf. Mow a small patch of lawn. Send a postcard. The act of doing for another shifts the heart. Doing reminds the body of connectedness. It often opens a doorway to receiving in return. Shared memory lightens sorrow. Tell one small story with a friend you trust. A memory passed on with tears and laughter becomes less raw. The shared recollection becomes a cushion. Memory, when offered in company, reframes the past. It changes weight into a story that can be held and carried. Forgiveness in community is different from private forgiveness. Inside a relationship, forgiveness can be a slow rebuilding of trust. Small reparations matter. A single honest word, a steady change in behavior. When someone asks for mercy, the community's role is to guard the tender place. That guarding looks like patience and a willingness to keep a light on while trust returns slowly. Grief benefits from being held in common. A cup of grief shared does not split into halves. It becomes possible to carry because many hands hold the cup together. Rituals mark that sharing. A small memorial, a Gwayed Mail, a poem read aloud. These acts remind the heart that grief is not a solitary prison but a shared passage. If isolation is deep, finding one safe circle is essential. A single reliable person can become the first stitch in a larger quilt. Start with someone who listens well. Practice small disclosures. Notice how it feels to be heard. Or a team? Add another voice. Let the community grow at the pace that feels safe. There is mercy in mutual service. Helping another often returns help to the giver in unexpected ways. The tasks we offer can be ordinary and yet sacred. Folding laundry for someone who is exhausted. Sitting through a doctor's appointment. Offering to drive to an errand. These are the practical love languages that mend the everyday. Prayer together transforms burdens. A short, shared prayer has the effect of tying a knot of presence. A group of 2 or 3 gathered and breathing slowly, while a brief petition is voiced, creates a shared witness. The witness makes the load less private. It becomes something held by more than one heart. If fear of rejection keeps someone from reaching out, start with a safe message. A line that gives the receiver full permission to say no removes pressure. For example, I am thinking of you and wondering if you have time for a short call. No pressure. That small invitation gives the other person room to respond honestly. Honesty builds trust. Community also means receiving. Practice saying yes when help is offered. Decline politely when you must. But when a neighbor offers a casserole or a simple errand, accept if it is possible. Receiving is a gift. It allows another to exercise care. It completes the circle. It honors the offer. Forgive small expectations of perfection in community. People bring their limits. A friend may arrive late. A neighbor may forget a promise. Remember the quilt image, some patches fade. Some fray. The whole blanket remains serviceable because the patches are stitched with patience. Keep the same patience for people. A brief practice to end the night is helpful. Choose one person to remember before sleep. Hold their image gently. Offer one short blessing in the mind. May they rest. May they be held. Breathe slowly 3 times. Imagine a warm thread connecting your heart to theirs. Picture the thread steady and kind. Let it be a reminder that burdens are carried not by one, but by many. If loneliness is raw, consider a small, safe group, a weekly short reading of scripture, followed by 2 or 3 moments of sharing, can form a steady rhythm. Keep the group small and regular. Consistency builds trust more than eloquence. The presence matters more than the perfection of words. Remember, community is not a fix. It cannot remove every hardship. It will not cure every sorrow. It does, however, change the shape of suffering. It makes the load manageable in ways solitude cannot. It gives the heart reasons to breathe between tasks. It returns the world to the size of a circle where hands meet. I will read a short passage that speaks of mutual care. I read slowly. I paused long enough for the meaning to settle. In that silence, consider one small step toward another person. It can be a message, a loaf, a visit, or a listening ear. Keep the step small. Keep it gentle. The smallest motion can begin a chain of mercy. As I close this part, place a hand over the heart. Let the warmth remind you that connections exist even when they feel invisible. Think of the quilt again. Visualize a patch that belongs to someone you know. See the stitch that binds your patch to theirs. Breathe in. Breathe out. Know that the night holds not only individuals, but the woven company of many. The lamp stays low. The Bible rests open. Community waits in simple forms. When you are ready, reach out with one small act. Share a burden. Accept a cup. Be held. Be a holder. The room around the heart is not meant for one alone. It is meant for many. Rest now in that idea. Let it settle. Let it steady the night. The lamp is low. The Bible rests open. I sit with the pages and the hush. Tonight I come to worry. I come to its small, sharp edges. I come to the long, quiet kind that keeps sleep at bay. Worry often arrives as small rehearsals. The mind plays what-ifs like a tired record. It turns the same anxious sentences until the chest grows tight. I have felt this. I read because the words steady me. They give the hands a place to rest. The teaching I hold close tonight asks a simple thing. It asks not to carry tomorrow's weight today. It does not promise an easy night. It only invites a different way of breathing through the unknown. The idea is small. It is practical. It is kind. Start with the body. Let the shoulders drop. Ease the jaw. Place a palm over the ribs. Feel a breath move beneath the hand. Breathe in slowly. Let the breath gather the thought that wants to run. Breathe out and let the thought soften. Repeat this a few times. The rhythm is your first work against worry. It is not a cure. It is a teacher of steadiness. When thoughts run ahead, bring the mind back to the next small thing. Name one immediate need. It can be as small as a cup of water. A note to send tomorrow. Or the plan to change the pillowcase. A single, tiny task narrows the horizon. Narrowed horizons are easier to walk. There is a brief exercise I use when the what-ifs begin to crowd the mind. Take a small stone. Hold it in the hand. Name one worry quietly in the mind. Do not shout it. Keep it short. Drop the stone into a bowl of water. Watch the ring spread once and then settle. The stone sinks. The ripple calms. The act is not an erasing of fear. It is a practice in placing it somewhere other than the chest. Ritual like this trains the body to release. Faith helps because it reshapes the question. Instead of asking how every detail will turn out, faith asks who is near amid the unknown. The answer matters more than a full map. Presence steadies in ways that answers cannot. A remembered truth of care is a small lamp on a long path. Keep that lamp near the bed. When the mind insists on listing future problems, try a short mental exchange. For each worry, Think of one small thing that could be done if that trouble arrives. Make the plan simple. It might be a phone number on a note, a single line of a to-do list, or a contact who knows how to help. Practical smallness reduces frantic imagining. It makes tomorrow manageable in advance, without stealing today. Scripture offers phrases that have soothed me in such nights. I read them slowly, and let the silence between lines be long. The lines do not banish all fear. They change the posture toward it. They teach a different kind of attention. They remind that care often arrives in small measures, rather than in sweeping repairs. If worry feels like a companion that will not leave, name it and offer it a seat. Do not pretend it goes away. Say to yourself, this thought is present. It is not the whole truth. Then focus on one simple posture: hands relaxed, breath steady, eyes soft. The small shift in the body loosens the mind. Presence accepts worry without giving it the steering wheel. Nighttime worry often lives on the edge of duty. We imagine tomorrow's failures in order to prevent them. Sometimes a single boundary helps. Choose an hour to stop planning. Let that hour be the night. Keep a small pad and pen by the lamp. If a plan or a fear arrives beyond the hour, write one short line and promise to look at it in the morning. The act of writing removes the need to hold the worry awake. Community lightens the burden too. Tell one trusted person. You will send a brief message in the morning with a question. The mere act of naming a person to help reduces the need to solve everything alone. If speaking feels too heavy tonight, imagine a friend you trust. Picture their quiet face. Let that image be a small proof you are not carrying the whole road single-handedly. Faith does not require perfect certainty. It works through steady small things. Practice a short evening prayer in your mind. Keep it one sentence. Let it ride on the breath. It need not be noble. It need only be honest. The act of speaking the need out in silence creates a tiny handoff. What you cannot hold alone moves, in part, toward a larger care. Remember past nights. Call to mind one evening when the load felt heavy and something came through. It might have been a small answer. It might have been a slow relief. Memory acts like an anchor. It proves that help has not always been absent. Keep a small list of such times. On restless nights, read one item in the mind. Let memory be a steadying witness. There is also a gentle discipline in small trust acts. Choose one practical step for tomorrow that will lighten the morning. Set out a simple plan. Lay one outfit by the chair. Put keys by the lamp. Make the cup for tea ready. These actions are not attempts to control fate. They are ways to show mercy to the waking body. They reduce the number of little presses that might otherwise wake the mind. If fear grows out of imagined judgment, treat that voice like weather. Watch it move across the sky. Name its wind and let it pass. Do not follow every gust. Mercy insists, you are not on trial tonight. Allow the heart to rest without proving worthiness. Faith does not demand a clean record before rest can come. Rest is a gift that arrives despite imperfection. A short breathing anchor helps when panic rises fast. Inhale on 4 counts. Hold gently on 2. Exhale slowly on 6. On the second cycle, place a single word in the inhale. one that feels like refuge, care. Hold. Steady. Let the exhale release a small fear. Repeat like a slow metronome until the pulse slows. The rhythm itself teaches the nervous system that night can be held. Worry sometimes feels like a hunting dog that circles the camp. Invite it to sit by the fire. Feed it a morsel of truth. Tell it, I will face this problem one step at a time. One step is enough for tonight. Reiterate the promise quietly with the breath until the dog settles. Practical kindness to the body supports faith's work. Drink a little water. Move the neck. Adjust the blanket. Let the bones know safety through small care. The body and the soul work together when the body receives small mercies. The mind adopts them as permission to rest. Avoid long lists at the edge of sleep. Keep to 1 or 2 items. Less is enough. The mind that feels in control of a little can bear uncertainty in the rest. The Bible's words are patient with this. I read them slowly and allow the pauses to be long. Each pause offers room for the heart to accept one small thing at a time. If worry presses about relationships or mistakes, practice tiny repair that is within reach. Write a short, honest note for the morning. If an apology is needed, plan a simple sentence to send. If a task awaits, set a small reminder to act. These tiny preparations do not erase the past. They create a gentler entrance into tomorrow. Keep a small ritual of release. Fold the worry into a single sheet. Place it under the Bible or beside the lamp. The action is symbolic. It gives the hands permission to rest. It signals to the mind that the work can pause. Symbols matter. They teach muscles of trust. When fear becomes chronic, a longer-term habit helps. Keep a modest journal near the bed. Each night, write 3 lines, 1 worry, 1 small plan for morning, 1 small thing you are grateful for. The habit is short. It trains the mind to move away from endless replay and into small, manageable steps. Faith does not replace prudence. It complements it. Make decisions you can make. Leave the rest. The difference between the two is a practice act where you can trust where you must. The Bible's gentle lines support both. They suggest a steady heart and hands that work with care. If sleep still does not come, let the reading be a companion. Listen to the slow cadence of the text. Let the phrasing be a soft fence against frantic thinking. Allow the silence between lines to be thick and kind. If sleep arrives, accept it. If wakefulness remains, stay with the breath and the small practices until dawn. I will read a few short lines now that remind the heart to lay tomorrow's weight down. I speak them slowly. Pause after each line. Let the silence be a place to place 1 worry and 1 small plan. The room keeps its hush. The lamp holds the page. The breath keeps time. Rest is not a reward for perfect planning. It is a gift. Receive it. Let faith be the quiet hand that takes 1 small worry and sets it down. Let the night soften. Let sleep come when it is ready. I stay here and read when you wish. For now, breathe. Place 1 small thing on the shelf and allow the weight of tomorrow to be carried a little by the presence that does not sleep. Shuwu, experiencing God's peace. I set the Bible on my lap. The lamp spills a small pool of light. The night outside is quiet. I speak of peace that is different. It is not a fleeting calm. It is a steady hush that lives beneath the noise. One night comes clearly to mind. The day had been long. Decisions clung like burrs. A thin worry would not let go. I sit at the kitchen table when the house finally grows still. The lamp is small. A cup of tea rests on a saucer. I open the book and read slowly. The phrase I turn to speaks of a gift of peace that differs from what the world offers. I do not repeat words like a chant. I let the meaning sink into the chest. The peace arrives quietly. It does not shout over the day's troubles. It moves like a cool hand across a fevered forehead. The shoulders that have been braced for hours loosen. The jaw unclenches. Breath finds a slower rhythm. The room does not change. The problems remain. Yet the ache inside the ribs eases enough to breathe. I notice the differences. Worldly calm asks for control. It tells me to fix things before rest. This peace does not demand proof or performance. It meets the worn places and makes them lighter by presence. It accepts what I am and gives permission to rest anyway. In that permission, something shifts. I stay with simple senses. The lamp's circle of light looks gentler. The tea's steam rises and cools without hurry. The clock's tick is steady rather than accusing. The peace is not an absence of pain. It is a presence that holds pain without being overwhelmed by it. A small warmth gathers behind the sternum. I place a palm there and feel it steadier. That night I do not rush to solve anything. I fold the day into small pieces, one by one. I name them and lay them beside the Bible. The action is not to banish them, but to give them a place outside the chest. The breath follows, each naming, and becomes a soft tide. The peace does its work in these tiny motions. I do a short practice to welcome the calm. I breathe in for 4 slow counts. I hold without force for 2. I breathe out for 6. I repeat 3 times. With each exhale, the shoulders drop a little more. With each inhale, the warm steadiness in the chest grows a little wider. The practice does not fix the day, but it trains the body to receive this different kind of rest. I also notice how this peace shapes thought. Where panic formerly pushed, I now find patience. Choices do not feel like cliffs to jump from. A single step becomes enough. The mind no longer frays itself by imagining every outcome. It rests in a nearer truth that someone steady is present, even when the map is unclear. Sometimes the peace appears through a person, a friend's brief message. Agwayad bisid, a hand placed for a moment. These small acts do not remove difficulty. They show a companion who will stay. At other times, the peace arrives simply in the reading. The words I trace with a finger on the page are not instructions to hustle. They are a lamp left near the bed. They say, "Be still for a while. Let me keep you company." On nights when the body aches, the peace is a physical thing. I lie down and let a blanket settle. I imagine the warmth like a cloth draped over the chest. The breath lengthens of its own accord. The calm does not chase the pain away. It offers a place for the pain to rest where it will not rule the whole night. If worry tries to climb back, I return to the breath and to the small, steady hand on the sternum. I whisper one short sentence in the mind. Nora list. Not adefens. A quiet claim of trust that can be held for 2 heartbeats. The sentence is small. It is enough. The calm answers with its own quiet presence, and the tightness loosens again. This peace carries a kind of courage. It does not pretend there will be no storms. It only steadies the heart enough to face 1 hour at a time. In that steadiness, prayer becomes softer. It is less about demanding outcomes and more about handing over what I cannot carry tonight. The hands that were clenched open slowly, and the rest that follows is honest and gentle. I read aloud a few lines that point toward this quiet presence. My voice is slow. I pause. Long after each sentence, the silence that follows is part of the gift. It allows the words to find a home in the rib cage. If the listener drifts toward sleep, the reading continues softly. If wakefulness remains, the rhythm of the silence itself becomes a companion. As I close that small scene in my memory, I sit with the warmth behind the ribs for a while longer. I do not push for more than this hour can give. I let the peace be enough. The lamp is low. The Bible rests. The breath keeps its slow tide. Tonight the gift of a different kind of peace is present and steady. Shalil, receiving rest. The lamp remains. The Bible stays open. I move now to a related quiet, receiving rest. Rest is not a prize for productivity. It is a generous gift that the night offers. I speak of how to accept it gently, without rush or apology. Begin with the body. Notice the place where it touches the chair or bed. Let the feet find a warm place. Soften the face. The small muscles around the eyes can relax. These tiny changes are the first language of rest. They send a message to the nervous system. It is allowed to let go for a while. Rest is practical. It looks like small care. A glass of water by the bedside. A folded blanket within reach. A list of 1 or 2 simple tasks set aside for the morning. These acts are not negligence. They are mercy. They create an outer order that frees the inner life to rest without guilt. I remember a time when the mind refused sleep. A stack of unfinished tasks kept the chest tight. Instead of fighting, I make a short list, 3 small things for tomorrow. I fold the paper and place it beside the lamp. The act feels absurdly small. Yet the hands learning to set down worry make the night possible. The mind relaxes because it no longer needs to hold every detail until dawn. Sometimes rest arrives through a ritual. I place a hand over the heart and breathe in slowly. I whisper a single word to myself. A word that asks nothing from me other than to be received. Mercy. Shelter. Enough. I do not summon emotion. I simply let the words sit. The breath and the word together form a small anchor. Rest is also a refusal of perfectionism. It says that worth is not measured by constant productivity. The night is not a ledger to be balanced. Rest is a permission to be whole and incomplete at once. This is a gentle truth to hold. It alters the way I treat the small failures of the day. They remain, but they do not define the night. If sleep seems far, I offer a soft practice. Lie comfortably. Count the breath in 4 gentle counts. Hold for 2. Exhale on a slow 6. Picture the breath as a tide that carries a small boat into a quiet harbor. The boat does not need to travel further tonight. It rests against the dock. Repeat until the body relaxes enough to let sleep come, or until the chest is simply calmer. Community helps here too. Tell one trusted person that you plan to rest. A short text that says, "I need to sleep now. I will check in tomorrow." The act of naming the intention creates accountability without pressure. It frees the heart from rehearsing every possible objection. Human companionship, even in small doses, makes rest easier to accept. I also remind myself that rest is a form of stewardship. It is care for the body and for the work that will come tomorrow. Rest is not wasted time, it is preparation. When the body is tended gently, decisions the next day are clearer and kinder. Choosing rest now is an act of wisdom for the future. Sometimes receiving rest asks for boundaries. Choose an hour to stop checking news or messages. Keep a pad and pen by the lamp for anything that must be remembered. If something urgent arises, a short note will stand until morning. This tiny separation from the screens and lists is a gift to the nervous system. It reduces the chatter that keeps sleep at bay. When grief or pain prevents sleep, be patient. Rest does not always mean sleep. It can be simply lying still in a quiet room. It can be listening to slow words read from the pages of the Bible. The sound becomes a soft fence around the mind. It keeps the most urgent thoughts from taking over. Stillness, even without slumber. Restores. I read a few lines aloud now that invite rest. The voice is slow, the pauses are generous. In the silence between phrases, allow the body to settle deeper. Let the breath find its own length. If tears come, let them fall. They are part of the night's work. If sleep arrives, leave the reading as a gentle background. If wakefulness remains, return often to the simple practices of breath. A hand on the chest. A small written list for morning. Before closing this part, I offer a short blessing in thought. May rest come without condition. May the body be tended with small acts of care. May the mind find one brief moment of relief from rehearsing tomorrow. The lamp remains low. The Bible rests open. The room keeps its hush. When you are ready, allow the night to do its slow work. Receive rest as a gift. Let it steady the hands for the next day. I will continue to read when you wish. For now, place a palm on your chest. Breathe quietly and accept the permission to be still. The night holds you kindly. The lamp sits low. The Bible lies open. My hand rests on the page. I read slowly tonight about a promise that will not fade. The thought feels simple and large at once. God's promises stand firm through changing days. In the pages I hold, they are called certain. I speak that certainty gently. I say it as a quiet fact. All of God's promises find their answer in Christ. In Him they are a steady yes. I do not make this an argument. I offer it as a refuge. I do not ask for understanding. I ask only for listening. The sound of the words is small. The meaning is wide. Imagine along shore, tide after tide comes in. The shore keeps its shape even as water rises and falls. Promises keep their shape amid the tides of worry and delight. They do not depend on the day's weather. They outlast sunrise and storm alike. Some promises feel urgent. Some feel slow. Both kinds come from the same source. Picture a sealed letter. The seal is old and sure. The contents do not change. Even when the hand that holds the letter trembles, the letter's word remains true. So does the promise. The seal is not stamped by what I do. It is stamped by an eternal kindness that will not alter with the clock. I read that truth aloud tonight in a measured voice. The sound is slow. I leave space between sentences for the heart to reply. Space matters. It lets the promise sink beyond thought and into the body. The chest can accept what the ears have heard. The hands can loosen their hold on restless lists. The breath itself learns the shape of that yes. There is a small practice I offer before we sit in silence. Place one hand over the heart. Feel the heat there. Breathe in slowly. Count the inhalation in 4 soft beats. Hold briefly. Let the exhale be gentle and longer. Do this 3 times. With each breath, imagine one promise, like a small stone placed in the palm. The first stone says comfort. The second says presence. The third says future care. Each stone is compact and sure. The hand can carry them without strain. Now fold the stones into a single, warm weight in the chest. Let that weight be an emblem of the eternal promise. It is not heavy, like a burden. It is solid, like a foundation. Rest your hand on it and breathe. The lamp's circle of light keeps the page readable. The room's hush keeps the demand low. A steady yes does not shout. It simply holds. I tell a quiet memory because images help the hearing. Years ago, a night came that kept its hand pressed on my chest. Plans had failed. A path I had counted on closed without explanation. I sat with the Bible and a small card beside the lamp. On the card, I wrote a single sentence, promises kept. I did not explain them. I only called them to mind. I folded the card and set it beneath the Bible. The action was tiny. It did not solve the problem. But when dawn came, the chest was not as tight. The mind could think again. The promise had not changed the situation that night. It had changed my capacity to face the morning. Promises are patient teachers. They invite repeated dwelling. One quiet repetition does not prove them false or shallow. Like a slow spring, they bloom in stages. A single night of soft reading may only plant a seed. Over months and years, that seed grows into steadier hope. That is fine. The pace of grace is not measured by impatience. I read passages that point to this long faithfulness. I do not recite proofs. I offer phrases that have rested me. Each phrase is short. Each pause is long. In the silence after a line, let the heart answer, if it wants to. Let the eyes close if rest comes. Let the breath lengthen. If doubt rise, greet it kindly. Doubt is not a failure. It is often the mind asking honest questions. Do not silence it with hurry. Hold the question gently in the same hand that holds the promise. Say to the doubt, I will carry both for a while. The presence of a promise does not erase questions. It simply sits beside them and steadies the posture of the one asking. There is a simple ritual I recommend for nights when the future feels uncertain. Take a small scrap of paper. Write one short promise that feels most needed. It might be a promise of comfort, a promise of provision, or a promise to be known. Fold the paper twice. Place it where the lamp can touch it. Let the paper be a small monument to that. Yes, the act is not superstition. It is a physical way to teach the hands to trust what the mind has heard. Now prepare for a moment of silence. I will pause in my reading. Breathe with me. Let the room keep its hush. Allow a slow stillness to enter. In that stillness, let the promise be a quiet companion. No need to speak. No need to move. Let the breath and the memory of the yes fill the spaces between thoughts. Pause for a long, slow breath. Breathe in. Hold gently. Breathe out. Repeat 3 times. Allow the silence to rest a little longer. In that quiet, listen for anything soft that stirs, a small yielding in the chest, a slackening in the shoulders, a single line of thought that lessens its urgency. These signs are tiny. They are also true. Promises do their work in small openings. They will not always come with fireworks. Most often, they come as a slow, steady presence that keeps the heart from drifting into panic. After the silence, let the eyes open if they closed. Return the hand to the page. Read another line quietly. The voice is calm. The phrasing is simple. The meaning sits like a warm stone on the lap. For many nights, this stone is enough to steady the foot for the next step. I also speak of eternity in small ways. Eternal does not mean far away. It means beyond the shortness of one night. A promise rooted in eternity holds the tiny hours with an unhurried calm. The future it speaks of is larger than the immediate worry. That largeness gives the present room to breathe. It creates a margin inside the chest. Margin is mercy here. Margin a los mistakes. Margin opens the possibility that the worst is not final. This eternal yes in Christ means the heart can lean on a trust that does not depend on performance. The acceptance is not earned. It is offered. Receiving it does not require perfect answers. It requires only a willing hand to rest on the heart and a slow breath. I end this reading with a short practice of gratitude. Think of one promise that has touched life before. It may be a tiny thing, a meal that came at the right time, a word that healed, a morning that felt like new. Hold that memory close for one breath. Let gratitude sit beside the promise as a small companion. Gratitude often softens the mind's resistance. It lets the yes feel less foreign and more like a friend. Then place your hand over the card if one was made. Press it lightly and say nothing. The silence is the language of trust. Leave the scrap where it lies. Let it be a witness to tonight's acceptance. Before I close, I give a brief blessing in thought. May the persistent yes be a light on small steps. May the promises sit like steady stones beneath the feet. May the breath find a longer rhythm. May rest come without judgment. These are not grand declarations. They are quiet hopes set beside the pillow. The lamp remains low. The Bible rests open. I will read again when morning asks. For now, accept this moment of stillness. Let the eternal promise be a gentle thing in the room. Let it steady the heart as sleep arrives, or as wakefulness keeps company. Rest with the thought that the promises are true, and that they answer with a patient yes. The night holds this truth softly. Hold it back. Keep it close. Let it be enough. 17. Guidance in the quiet moments. I bring the room into stillness. The lamp stays low. The Bible rests where my hand can find it. I read a verse that asks for stillness. The line is familiar. It invites the heart to slow. I say it softly. Be still and know. The words are an invitation. Not a demand. Silence is not empty. It is a place that holds possibilities. When I pause, small impressions have room to breathe. A thought that felt like noise becomes a clear hint. A gentle nudge may arrive as an image, a word, or a calm that settles in the chest. Guidance often enters on a quiet current. Begin simply. Close the eyes if that comforts. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts. Hold for a gentle 2. Breathe out long and soft. Repeat. Let the rhythm become a shallow tide. The body listens first. When the body is steady, the spirit can hear. I teach a small practice of listening. Sit or lie comfortably. Place one hand over the heart. Let the other rest in the lap. Read one short line from the Bible. Lean into the silence for a full breath after the line. In that breath, name nothing. Expect nothing. Wait. Let the room answer, if it will. Guidance rarely arrives as a trumpet. It comes as a lamp near the bed. It is often a small clarity about one next step. Perhaps it is the name of a person to call. Perhaps it is the courage to rest. Sometimes it is a gentle correction in how a choice feels when held in the quiet. The measure of guidance is small and practical. Keep a small notebook by the lamp. When a thought or image lingers after the pause, write it down in one line. Do not try to explain it. A single sentence will do. A few nights later, read the note. Patterns often appear in time. A repeated nudge becomes a clearer sign. Discernment grows with patience and attention. I also suggest waiting with the Bible open. Let a verse sit on the eyes. Let the words soak in like rain on thirsty earth. If a sense of direction comes, test it gently. Does it bring peace to the chest? Does it align with what you know of kindness and truth? Guidance that steadies the heart will not demand frantic action. When a strong impression arrives, practice a twofold pause. First, breathe and hold the impression lightly. Second, place it before God in a single short sentence. Then sleep on it. Morning light often shows whether the sense was a passing feeling or a faithful nudge. The quiet of the night is a safe place to lay small questions. I do not encourage a rush to conclusions. The world prizes instant answers. The soul needs patient listening. Longings and impulses can be mistook for guidance. Test them by their fruit. A true guiding comfort will produce calm, not compulsion. It will make room for mercy, not increase the weight of shame. Community helps too. If a direction seems clear, share it with one trusted person in the daylight. A steady friend can offer a fresh angle. They will not fix everything for you. They will hold the sense in prayer and common sense. Confirmation in love keeps the heart from mistaking impulse for wisdom. Let Scripture be a steady measure. Read small sections slowly. Let the phrases sink like small pebbles in a pond. The life of Christ in the pages shows a way gentle, patient, and full of compassion. Guidance that mirrors those qualities is worth listening to. Guidance that rushes and insists without mercy is suspect. If confusion remains, choose the next small act that requires the least faith and the most kindness. Call a neighbor. Sleep early. Write a brief note. The next step need not solve the whole journey. It is often a tiny, faithful motion that shows the path 1 foot at a time. I have found that guidance often arrives in repetition. A thought that repeats in the quiet, in dreams, and in waking moments is likely more than a stray idea. When the same small thing surfaces across time, take it as a soft lamp. Walk toward it in small measures. Watch how the heart responds. Prayer and silence pair well. Speak a single short sentence and then remain quiet. Do not hurry to fill the room with words. Listening is a form of prayer. It trusts that someone near can speak without our cajoling. Let the silence be an active companion. If a decision presses hard, name the fear. Speak it aloud to the stillness. Fear named is easier to handle than fear unnamed. Once named, place it beside the Bible or under the lamp. The small act of placing is a symbolic handing over. It does not remove responsibility. It reduces the need to carry everything alone. Night offers a special kind of counsel. The dark narrows distractions. The hush makes the heart louder. Use that hush to ask one clear question. Do not aim for a full map. Ask for the next small step. Wait in the quiet for the answer. If nothing comes, accept the night as an ally that allows rest while the earth turns. I read aloud sometimes, as a way of listening. The sound creates a frame. Inside that frame, impressions have a place to arrive. My voice is low and slow. Bithvin leans. My pauses are long. The silence is where the guidance sits. If sleep arrives, let it take the listening with it. Dreams may carry the answer forward. Remember mercy in the process. Guidance does not always mean approval. Sometimes it is a kind refusal, a nudge to stop, to wait, or to care for the body is as faithful as a nudge to act. Honor the direction that leans toward rest. The night is not only for planning, it is for being held. If regret or shame obscures the hush, bring those feelings into the quiet in gentle pieces. Name them and then breathe with them. Place each one on a page beside you. The act of making them visible reduces their power. Guidance is easier to hear when shame is not shouting. In the morning, review the small notes. Keep a short log of the gentle directions that came at night. Over weeks, a pattern of counsel may appear. Trust grows from this small file of remembered nudges. The archive becomes a quiet witness to a presence that leads by small lights. I close this part by returning to a short simple practice. Place a hand on the heart. Read one line that bids stillness. Breathe deeply 3 times. In the pause that follows, wait. If a quiet sense arrives, allow it to be as small as a nod. Thank the hush and set the thought down in a word. Then rest. Guidance in the quiet is patient. It does not rush a weary soul. Shabbat. Conclusion and blessing. The lamp keeps its small light. The Bible rests where it can be reached easily. The hour grows ready for closing. I draw the themes together in one soft sweep. Mercy, hope, rest, guidance, love. These things have been placed like small stones along the way. They are not heavy. They steady. I speak as one who reads this book to others before sleep. The voice is low. Each sentence is a hand offered to the tired. Take no burden from me that you must carry alone. I only lay out small practices and small promises. Use them gently. Let them sit beside the pillow. Keep the breath long and slow. When worry arrives, name one small thing to do tomorrow and write it down. When shame returns, place one soft word on the chest, mercy. When fear presses, lower an anchor in the mind and hold on. When guidance comes, test it with kindness. Each small action is a stitch in a larger pattern of healing. Community matters. Reach out with the smallest thing you can. A message, a visit, a folded cloth. Accept help when it is offered. Let the circle that binds you be simple and steady. Shared burdens are lighter, simply because hands multiply. Do not mistake solitude for solitude by design. Read the pages of Scripture slowly in the quiet. Let the words be a lamp, not a law. If a line settles on the heart, live with it. Let it be a friend rather than a judge. Allow the readings to be a soft fence against the night's louder fears. Now, a short blessing. Place a hand on the heart. Breathe in, gently. Breathe out. In the silence that follows, carry this wish. Inward may mercy find the worn places. May hope steady the step. May rest come without apology. May guidance arrive as a gentle lamp. May love keep its quiet watch. Do not feel pressed to understand everything before sleep. Acceptance is often more faithful than resolution. Lay down what you cannot bear for the night. Trust the small practices you have learned. Return to them tomorrow. The path forward will come one slow step at a time. I will sit with this room until you are ready to sleep. My voice will remain low. The Bible stays open. If you drift away, let the reading continue softly for the rest of the night. If wakefulness keeps you company, stay with the breath and the small practices. Both states are held. One last small image as you close your eyes. Picture à Kietchor at dusk. A single lamp is set near the water. It does not light the whole sea. It lights the next step. Walk toward it slowly. Take one careful step. Then another. The lamp will be there as long as you need it. May the night be gentle. May the promises you hold be a steady yes beneath the stars. May the breath you tend tonight steady your heart for tomorrow. Rest now. The room keeps its hush. The lamp remains low. The Bible rests. Blessing follows softly. Sleep in that company. I will read again when morning asks. I sit with the lamp dimmed. The Bible rests where my thumb can find the page again. The room breathes in the hush we have made together. My voice stays low. My hand closes the cover gently when the reading ends. The sound is small. It marks the end of a circle tonight. I feel the rhythm of this whole time. We began with a slow invitation. We moved through mercy, forgiveness, and grace. We kept to small images and small practices. We learned to answer the body first. We practiced one-breath prayers and short, kind actions. All of it is simple. That was the point. Simplicity opens a door. I do not promise to solve everything. I never offer tidy endings where life is messy. Instead, I bring a steady presence. I bring words that have rested other nights. I bring a lamp, a book, and a willingness to stay. Those three things make a safe edge for the heart. If there is a single thing to carry forward, let it be this: small steps matter. The next hour needs only a gentle hand. The next breath needs only attention. A single choice made kindly alters the shape of a whole day. Do not look for dramatic turns. Look for tiny motions of care. Place a hand over the ribs, if that helps. Feel the slow rise and fall. Let the palm be a quiet witness. Breathe in close and breathe out longer. Keep motions minimal. Let the shoulder drop. Let the jaw soften. Let the eyes find stillness. When anxious thoughts arrive, name one small action to do tomorrow. Write it down on a small slip. The act of writing moves the worry from the chest to the paper. It makes room for rest. This is not a trick. It is a practical mercy. If shame speaks loud, answer with one quiet word: mercy. Say it without force. Let the word float with the breath. Mercy is not a performance. It is a soft fact. Let it be like a blanket thrown over the shoulders for a while. When fear tugs at the sleeve, imagine a thin rope fixed to something steady. It does not solve the wind. It keeps the feet from sliding. Grip the rope with small faith. One steady step is enough tonight. If grief sits heavy, hold it gently. Sit with its weight in small pieces. Let a tear fall. Let a memory come. Treat the heart like a tender thing. Do not rush the mending. The night often teaches slow repair. If forgiveness is needed, start with a tiny release. Picture a stone in the palm. Loosen the fingers and let it go. The stone sinks. The chest lifts a little. That letting is not forgetting. It is choosing not to be defined by the weight. When hope feels thin, name one small good you have already received. Keep that memory close. Practiced gratitude does not erase pain. It widens a part of the chest where light can live. A single remembered kindness becomes a lamp. If guidance is sought, listen for the small nudge. Guidance most often arrives as a quiet notice. It may be a steadying word, a short image, or a calm in the chest. Record that nudge in a line. Read it back in the morning. Time will show whether it was a hint or a habit. If community feels distant, reach out with a small offer, a brief message, a loaf left at the door, a short call. These are the stitches that mend isolation. Receiving is part of the practice. Let someone else be kind. Let giving and receiving form a shared rhythm. Keep a small ritual by the bed. A page marked in the Bible. A stone placed under a card. A short verse written on paper. These objects are not talismans. They are reminders of things that have steadied you before. They teach the hands how to trust the heart. Tonight, use a breath practice one more time. Breathe in for 4 easy counts. Pause for 2. Breathe out for 6. On the next inhale, bring to mind a single promise you have heard in the pages. Feel it as a small weight that rests not like a burden, but like a support. Breathe out and let the chest accept that support. Repeat twice more. I will say a simple blessing now. Receive it as a quiet fact, not as a test. May mercy find the worn places on your heart. May hope settle like a small stone in your chest. May rest come without apology. May guidance arrive as a gentle lamp. May love keep its quiet watch. As we close this time together, may you rest in the comfort of these promises, feeling enveloped by God's love and peace until we share this sacred space again. May you be blessed. If sleep comes, let it arrive without guilt. If wakefulness remains, return to the breathing and the small practices. Both states are held. Neither is failure. Both belong to the same steady night. I do not leave abruptly. I sit for a few more slow breaths. I listen to the tiny sounds of the room. The lamp hums. The pages cool. The house exhales. This silence is part of the reading. It carries its own assurance. In the morning, take one tiny step toward the day. A warm drink, a short walk, a note to one person. Let each small action be an answer to the night's practice. Build slow habits of gentleness. That is where real change grows. Keep the Bible where you can see it. Return to its lines when worry presses. Let the words be a companion, not a checklist. Read one verse slowly and pause long enough for the body to answer. The voice of the book is patient. Let yourself be patient in return. I will read again when morning asks. I will return to this lamp and this page. For now, lay down what you cannot carry. Let the room have its hush. Let the breath be the teacher of the night. Rest in the company of these small truths. Let mercy touch a tired place. Let hope steady the step. Let love be the quiet watch. Sleep in that company and rise again when the day calls. The lamp remains low. The Bible rests. The house keeps its hush. I close the cover with a careful hand. The final thought is simple. You are not alone. The night keeps that promise in small, steady ways. Good night.